Earn all you must, monetize all you want, get all the money you can get in this world, because the future is not guaranteed for your grandchildren's grandchildren. But make sure there's something you keep sacred that you always do for free.
What's going on, y'all? This your boy Aristotle Investments. I'm with the main man, Dr. Umar. We about to drop so much knowledge. We talking black history, we talking black finance, we talking black liberation.
White man said, okay, he talking that black talk. Let me see what happened when I take that Benz. He talking that black talk. Let me see what happened when I turn him broke. Consistency. Are you still standing on your same political square today as you did 10 years ago? Or did you start getting soft? Did you start compromising? You can look at my message today, look at my message 5 years ago, look at my message 15 years ago. I never compromised. You must be consistent, because without consistency, people can't what? Trust you. I'm trying to give out the wisdom that the ancestors put in my head to give to you.
I'm back with another episode of Kicking It with the OGs, and I got the legendary Dr. Umar Johnson. How you feeling?
Peace and Pan-Africanism. Glad to be with you. Thanks for having me, and much love to the entire ATL family.
Thank you so much for coming. It's definitely an honor to meet you. Definitely an honor to have you here. So I want to kick the show off straight up. What do you believe is the solution for Black people becoming a financial power?
Great question. What is the solution for Black people towards becoming a financial power? I would argue that the biggest obstacle to our financial empowerment is our lack of economic discipline. As you know, being a successful trader, you have to be able to save so that you can invest and build. Our people are trapped in a consciousness of conspicuous consumption. If we do not change that, it's going to be hard to catch up with the other racial groups for a piece of this great American pie community-wise. We may be successful as individuals like yourself, but in order to do this as a people, we're going to have to undergo some serious psychological reconstructing, and we're also restructuring, and we're also going to have to undergo some serious modifications to our economic appetite. We're spending too much money on things we do not need, whereas the things we do need are being left undone. So for example, as I travel the country, nowhere I've been yet, and I've been almost everywhere, there's no Black Wall Street operating for our people. And when I say Black Wall Street, I mean a Black-owned bank, Black-owned school, Black-owned supermarket, Black-owned hospital, and a Black-owned manufacturing and distribution network to give our people jobs and provide them with the basic commodities they need for everyday living. Those 5 institutions are the essence of an independent community. We are $2 trillion people. 2 trillion. The richest group of Africans in the world in terms of income. No Black Wall Street. So the financial restructuring of the way we think, our priorities, our values, and most of all, our spending habits must be a priority if we're going to change this situation.
You actually were the one who pointed out that whole system where we need the banks, the hospitals, the schools, we need to be vertically integrated pretty much in order to succeed. So I want to get to the next question. Where do you see the state of Black people in the next 10 years?
That's a great question. Where do I see Black people in the next 10 years? I'm going to say that as we sit here in 2024, that if we don't fix this in the next 10 years, which will be 2034, then by 2054, we will all but be exterminated, annihilated, or incarcerated in this country. Right now, as you know, there is a government-sanctioned and financed migrant takeover of key Black cities in this country. They're bringing in the migrants to take over New York City from the Blacks, to take over Chicago from the Blacks. I was in Kansas City. They have a migrant community. New Jersey has a migrant community. I was in Sacramento, migrant community. Antioch, migrant community. Los Angeles has already had one. The point that I'm making is America never intended Black people to be here long term. They never intended us to be here long term. In their opinion, we have worn out our welcome. So to help usher us out the way, they're going to bring the migrants in to exhaust all of the remaining social services so there's none left for us. They're going to take over all of the available industry jobs, low pay and labor jobs, so there's nothing available for us.
Can I ask you something? Do you
Sure.
believe that's a target towards black people or all minorities, no matter
Black
if you're
in
Hispanic,
particular.
Black?
Black in particular. And I'm going to tell you why. The migrants are already Hispanic. Asians have already been chosen by the white power structure to be the priority minority. So the Asians are set.
Yeah.
The Native Americans have their reservations. Latinos are the migrants. Indians are already doing well, East Indians. Arabs already have their stake. Who are the only people in America who do not control any part of the American economy? It's the American African. It's black folks. Look at the Indians, their share of the hotel market. Look at their share of the fast food markets. Look at the European Jews with the banking industry, the Asians with the import and export. If you look, there's a color on every sector of society. What sector of society do black people control? We can't say music and entertainment because although we are the raw product, we are not the controllers of those corporations. Look at hip hop. Most of that is controlled by Caucasians. Look at Hollywood, Caucasian. What do we own and control? And if we are going to survive this economically, black people need to come together, your generation in particular, and decide what part of the American economy are we going to corner and monopolize? Because it ain't about competition. It's about monopolization. People are trying to monopolize aspects of society. Nobody wants competition. What did John D. Rockefeller say? He said competition is a sin. And what did the Rockefellers do in order to take over the oil industry? They sabotaged all the competitors so there would be no competition. The problem with us, Brother Aristotle, is our religious indoctrination has taught us that the way to succeed in the world is to collaborate with other groups. Nothing wrong with respecting other groups, but guess what? Nobody is interested in collaboration. When the Chinese come to Atlanta, they're not coming here to share with you. They're coming to find a piece of their own pie. When the Arabs get here, when the Jews, who's looking to collaborate with black people? Nobody. But we're looking to collaborate with anyone. We're extending a hand that is never reciprocated. We have to get the eye of the tiger. We have to get the dog mentality that says, I'm going to fight for a piece of this American dream so my grandchildren's grandchildren can eat food, wear clothes, and sleep in a home with a roof on top of it. We are not as aggressive economically as we should be as a people. Imagine if we were as aggressive with our financial investments as we are with our materialistic consumptions. Think about that. A sister will go to the other side of Atlanta to get the right weave. A brother will go to the other side of Atlanta to get the right pair of Jordans. You see this? Look at how we go out of our way to buy things that have no true value or impact on the community. But when it comes to the things that have an impact on the community or that we should be valuing, very little interest in it. Before we can have an economic revolution, there has to be a psychological revolution. If we don't change the way we think, we never change the way we spend.
Have you always wanted to invest in stocks, learn the stock market, interested in trading to earn another stream of income? Let's just say the average person in America makes $20 an hour. That's only $160 after an 8-hour shift. With my best-selling option trading beginners course, 6-step process to being a profitable trader, free books, and you even get to watch videos of me teaching celebrities like DC Young Fly from scratch. I can cut your time to make $200 plus in a day in just 1 to 2 hours. Don't believe me? Check out these gangs of accounts from different people that I help flip their accounts 100%. Yes, that means double the money in their accounts. For only $35, you get the best beginners course, 1 week access to my world famous trading signals. I have an 85% win rate already this year, 30 plus hours of additional training, a library of free books, a free beginners Q&A session with you at the end of the week via Zoom link. And I meet up with my community at all the major cities in America annually. You're basically in free because the return on investment I'll give you for only $35, just $5 a day, will 10x. Think about it. If the world shuts down again like the 2020 pandemic, how will you survive if your job decides to lay you off? All of these robots are taking our jobs, but they can't take the stock market. This stream of income could be earned while at home, no boss, and no behind kissing. Tap in. Link in the description, or I'll pin the link in the comments. Keep watching. Do you see any progress being made, though? Can we talk about that?
I do.
Let's talk
One
about
of
the
the
progress.
things that I like is I just read a report that talked about young American Africans being the largest and or the fastest growing investment population in America. Those under 35 represent the greatest growth in the stock and investment market. I'm loving it. Here's where I would give them some direction. I'm glad you're doing this, but when do all of you doing these investments come together? You see this? How do we consolidate this? Where is the virtual integration across platform and investor so we can create some opportunities for the community? Because while you all are doing a great job building this wealth, we still got young brothers in Buckhead blowing each other's brains out. We still got brothers in Philadelphia, New Jersey, Houston, Baltimore killing each other. So my thing is, are we just trying to become the 21st century's version of the black bourgeoisie? Are we trying to become the 21st century's version of the talented 10th? Or are we going to try to use this wealth to help create opportunities for those on the bottom? In other words, the future for black economics, the leadership of the future of black economics will be for those of your generation and beyond who not only builds wealth for themselves, but find a way to empower those at the bottom. Because until we do that, we're only operating from a black bourgeoisie agenda.
You have an interesting point. And that 40% of young black investors investing, I personally believe I have a large impact in America on that happening. Meaning like me as a young black fly brother doing what I do.
Yes, sir.
And I teach. So I teach for free every Sunday. I have a show called Stock Sundays. So I teach for free every Sunday. I got a large real estate project that I can't say on camera that I'm building.
Yes, sir.
On the south side of Atlanta. So to answer your question, we are, as young black men, coming together behind the scene. It is my generation. I got the #1 developer actually showing up now here to come watch you.
Powerful.
Young black developer. I'm the #1 young black investor, like in America, period. Like
Powerful.
right now, as far as what we do. So it is, we are in the early stages of, because I know everybody in my industry as far as finance. And we trying to figure it out right now as we speak.
Yes, sir.
Like we are. And you're right, empowering the bottom. You said that the best thing was empowering the bottom is how we get there.
Yes, sir.
So I started this thing called the Small Account Challenge for my business. Teaching people how to grow 1,000, 2,000. You see how see how he just said he turned a band and he's up 3 now?
Yes, sir.
See, I learned that we got to empower the bottom as well. So that's my niche. My niche is teaching you how to invest with little money. Because you're right, we were focusing on the black bourgeoisie for a while. Like, okay, but now I had to tell people, look, everybody ain't got 100,000 to throw in crypto. Everybody ain't, these people working with a rack. You get what I'm saying? 1,000. So you can't
afford the waste.
Thank you. So we always have to talk to the bottom if we want to get solutions for the black community.
Yes. And the reason why we got to talk to the bottom is no matter how successful you may be, I may be, our brothers over there may be, when you go to your car at night, or when you go to your car in the morning, or when your queen or your children or your mother or your father go to their car at night or go to their car in the morning, you don't ever want a tragedy to be waiting for them because someone who you don't even know, who envies what you have done with your life, is angry and jealous that you selfishly didn't show me how to do this as well. See, in order for us to protect ourselves from black on black crime, we have to show black people that we're thinking about them as well. So when that 12 and 13-year-old brother pulls up on you in your Benz, in your Phantom, in your Mercedes and pull out the gun and say, give me everything you got, and you ain't moving fast enough, God forbid, he takes your life, we as a community have our DNA on that crime. Because if we were creating opportunities for the brothers in the streets and sisters at the bottom, he would have never had to roll up on you in that Mercedes. See, here's the thing. Economics by itself is not capitalism. Capitalism is when you have an inequitable distribution of the wealth. This is true not only for America, it's true for the black community. Wherever there's capitalism, which is exploitation of the resources by the few to the detriment of the many, whenever you have that inequitable distribution of wealth, you have crime.
So I have a question to ask you. When you said it is my generation, you believe it is my generation who is responsible for the growth of black people, or do you believe your generation still
It's
has
all
to
of
work?
us.
It is?
The reason I'm pointing to your generation in particular, because
Right.
the youth always carries the revolution.
True.
Do you follow me? So we are all involved, but it's the youth that carry the revolution. Go back to civil rights, right? Even though Dr. King's face was on it, and he was a youth himself, but although his face was on it, if it wasn't for them HBCU students at the Greensboro sit-in, if it wasn't for them HBCU students on the Freedom Riders, you see what I'm saying? If it wasn't for the youth, those civil rights bills never get passed. So now we're talking about an economic revolution. You see what I'm saying? Not only is your generation more knowledgeable than your parents' generation, you have the energy and the fearlessness to get it done.
True.
You see what I'm saying? So we all in this. It's all for one, but it's always the youth that takes us where we got to go. As the old African proverb says, old man for wisdom, young man for war.
So I'm glad you're here, because now I really want to talk about it. Since you're speaking from your generation perspective, I'm speaking from mine. That's why this show is called Kicking It with the OGs,
Yes,
because
sir.
I already understand that. So my perspective is this. Being in the industry that I'm in, you will say, okay, we have to go to the black banks. We got to go to our black leadership. We have to go to black this, black this.
But if you're building effectively, the black leadership will come to you.
But see, yeah, you're right. So I'm the young man who tried that.
Okay.
Hey, black man who's older than me, I got this going on. What do I do? And the one black man who I can honestly say helped me the most is Fly. He's a music executive for Rich Homie Quan and Lucci. You know those two guys.
Yes, sir.
He is the owner of their music catalogs, right? So, you know, a man who's up hundreds of M's. So he's been a great mentor to me. But what I was telling him was, because we went to this conference. It's a bunch of white men there, old white billionaires, this and that. And they was giving me all these resources. And I was like, dang, I would go to black brothers for these same things. And not only do they not want to help you, but they feel threatened because young black men like myself are either doing better than them or too close to them. So they don't want to give us the resources. So it's a disconnect from the young to the old, because to be honest, a lot of even your generation somehow is just now getting it too. You know what I'm saying? Getting to the paper. So that's another thing too. That's why I'm even doing this, because I'm trying to bridge the gap.
Bridge the generation.
You get what I'm saying?
Yes,
I'm trying
sir.
to bridge the gap, because
And I commend you for that.
I need y'all to understand that we're not against y'all, and we need to understand that y'all not against us.
Let me say something to that. You're bringing up a great point, and I
Yeah.
like how you tied it into the name of your podcast.
Yeah.
Couple points. Number one, the reason why we as black men are so egotistical is because we're the only men in America who are not allowed to flex their masculinity in society without people being threatened. This is why we always lead with our chests stuck out. We always leading with our bravado, our machismo, our male ego. Why? I can't flex my masculinity in the stock market, at least not up until now. You understand? I can't flex my masculinity on my job. I can't flex my masculinity in the political world. Anywhere the black man goes, if he stands confidently in his masculinity, he's considered a threat. So now let me bring it back to what you just said, because it's related. The reason why your elders and my elders, and I'm dealing with this right now, by the way, on the political side, older black men intimidated and envious at what you've done with your life. First of all, don't react to the envy. You have to humble and discipline yourself not to react to the envy, because if they had the opportunities you had, they wouldn't be envious. So there's a humility that we have to flex in the presence of our elders, respect their struggle. You feel me? Come to them humbly. Sometimes you got to dim your light to make the elder comfortable. That's okay if you're doing it in the long-term interest of the best interest of the black community, right? So in the black community, because of that ego, because of that psychological castration of African men in this country, we've never built what the men of every other culture has built. And what I'm speaking of is the intergenerational transfer of power. Let me tell you what that is. Let's say you and I are in the same economic market, right? I'm a generation above you. Once I get to be 60 years old, I say, Brother Aristotle, I still got a lot of life to live, but it's time for me to pass this on to you. I'm going to sit you down. I'm going to train you on that which you don't know to add to what you do know. I'm falling back. I'm still here. I'm the quarterback now, but you the running back. I'm giving you the ball. You got to get to the line. You feel me? We don't have that in Black America. Jews have it. Arabs have it. Native Americans have it. Latinos have it. Asians have it.
Everybody except us. That's so.
Let me get this last point.
Go ahead.
Let me get this last point on it, because this might help inform your response. This is why when you go to the black churches in Atlanta, they mostly run by elders. You're starting to see more young pastors, but it's mostly run by elders. If you go to our community-based organizations, mostly run by elders. You're starting to see some youth, but the youth had to fight their way in. They were not invited. You had to fight your way in. You were not invited. We will never get anywhere as a race as long as the older black man is jealous of his replacement.
Thank you.
Because we only get better if you sharper than me. This is why we got to kill our ego. We only get better if you're better than me. If Aristotle ain't better at Dr. Umar than at my age, if you're not better at my age when you get here, I failed you. And the young brother under you better be better than you when he gets to your age. That's growth. But guess what? That does not work in the best interest of the ego. And this is why I always say the ego of the Negro is one of the greatest obstacles to the progress of our people. If we don't kill the ego will kill the community.
Well, you did answer my question. Yeah, you did right there. And that was powerful. And I'm glad you said that, because I believe that message is going to go viral and it's going to translate through the black community, because that's something that we need to hear.
Yes.
You know, and this is the conversations that need to be had, because there is a disconnect for that reason, the ego.
Yes.
We feel it on both ends. Y'all feel like we ain't listening to y'all. We feel like y'all don't want to hear what we got to say.
Yes.
Or trying to help us come up, because we also feel like y'all trying to come up as we're trying to come up. You get what I'm saying?
And there's room for everyone.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you this. This is an excellent conversation. Might be the first time I've had it, to be honest with you, out of all the interviews. We suffer from a plantation mentality. I want to take it back to slavery. On the plantation, we all working. Cotton, rum, indigo, whatever the slave master got us doing. We out there working, sunrise to sunset, dying, breaking our backs. Once a year, the slave master would free one of us. Only one. And do you know how you got in a position for your slave master to recognize you and potentially offer you a meritorious manumission? By telling on me. In other words, you had to expose the brother who's trying to run away. You had to expose the brother sneaking off to see his wife late at night on another plantation. But they only allow 1 or 2 their freedom every year. But it's 1,000 on the plantation. So when you go through this after 20 generations or 400 years, you begin to believe that only one or two blacks can make it at a time. I want you to see why the jealousy is so intense. So when they see Aristotle doing this thing, coming from this conditioned plantation mentality, do you know what a lot of brothers think when they see you? They say, okay, I'm jealous of him. I got to replace him. Why you got to replace him? Not physical replacement, but in terms of success, I got to outdo him. Why? Why can't you join him? Why can't you work with him? Why can't you collaborate with him? Because we were trained on the plantation that only one or two can make it at a time. So when we see another black man making it, when I see Aristotle doing this thing, do you know what comes into my mind? I got to replace him or I got to erase him because there's no room for me. Who said there's no room for you? There's enough room for all of us. But because we've been hypnotized by the slave master, we believe that whenever one black person is making it, I don't care if it's with a new restaurant, I don't care if it's in the rap game, I don't care if it's sports and athletics, whenever we see one of us doing well, the assumption is nobody else can. It breeds the competition, it breeds the animosity, and it breeds the sabotage. There's enough room for all of us. We have to transform our consciousness from one of scarcity to one of abundance. We got to convince every black boy and girl in Atlanta and throughout the state of Georgia, you don't have to hate on another brother or sister. You don't have to compete with another brother or sister. There's enough for all of us.
That's a powerful statement because there is enough money for us all to eat. The stock market is something I teach and I tell people anybody can get into it anytime. We were taught that it was hard to learn. And there's a statement that says 90% of traders fail. And what I tell people is, okay, let's just say that statement is true. 10% is a larger number than it takes to be a rapper, which is 0.1, than it takes to be an NFL athlete, than it takes to be famous, this and that. That is like 0.1% who can be Lil Wayne, Lil Baby, T.I., anybody. Right. But everybody's trying to climb in and be the 0.1. But we got this industry over here that has a 90% failure rate, but a 10% success rate. And I'm living proof that I actually believe that statement was made when there was miseducation. I actually believe 30% are successful now, if I had to be honest.
Wow.
Because the information is there now.
Okay.
That statement is outdated.
Okay.
That's pre-2020, right? When we had a chance to sit down and learn.
Yes.
So why do you think they saying 40% of black people get into it? Will we be getting into it if it wasn't working?
Collective hypnosis. Negative statistics are collective hypnosis. Most people don't have the willpower to challenge the statistic. You follow what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Which is exactly what you're saying. 90% will fail. Well, guess what? Who's to say I'm not in the 10 that will make it? But most of us, because we lack confidence in areas of society where white people have put their fingerprints on and made us believe you can't make it unless you're one of us. So what you have to do with your example, which is why you're so powerful for the current generation and the future generations, is you have to show them I'm one of the 10%. And guess what? The more of you that we bring in, that 10% got to grow. Let's make it 30. Okay, it is 10. But when I'm done with all y'all, we're going to be 20. And when you bring in the new recruits, we're going to be 30. Let's break the statistic and rebuild it. Black excellence. What we're really talking about is black excellence. And one thing I'm going to recommend you consider doing, you're probably already thinking about this, is creating a financial literacy curriculum for Atlanta Public Schools with you as its director to train the teachers, right? And you bring in your own experts to help teach our children financial literacy in grade school. If you do that, dropout going to go down, special ed going to go down, ADHD going to go down, psychiatric med going to go down, graduation going to go up, National Honor Society going to go up, children enrolled in advanced placement classes is going to go up. What's the biggest problem in public education today? It doesn't appear relevant to the children. Let you come in here and start showing them this is how much money I made yesterday. This is how much money I made in the past year. You think they're going to miss another day of school? Do you think they will miss another day of school once you pull out your cell phone and show them, look what I made while I was asleep? I didn't sell crack. I didn't steal cars. I didn't pop weed. I didn't hustle opioids. I made this totally legal in my sleep. So I'm saying, take what we know and weaponize it in order to be a weapon of mass construction. We always hear about weapons of mass destruction. We need weapons of mass construction, economic vehicles as solutions to keep our boys and girls from falling into the poverty pipeline or the school to prison pipeline.
That's facts. But I would like to say this. You're saying my curriculum would help, but my curriculum is financial literacy. The curriculum in school for them to pass the test is math, science, reading, that. Nothing that has to do with money. So,
but remember, what I'm saying is they're going to start achieving greater in the core subjects of math, science, language, and social studies.
If they know money.
If they know they get to learn about the money. You see where I'm going? You showed up today, young blood. You fell in all your classes. I got a financial literacy class. I only come in once or twice a week. But guess what? In order for you to be taught how to make money in my class, you got to start passing math, science, language, and social studies. What you think happens by the end of the week?
I ain't gonna lie, we've been money motivated since we can remember.
Right.
Like, if there was an opportunity for any of us to get money, we would do it.
Absolutely.
And I do feel like I'm in a position of power as far as financial literacy at a young age. I'm 27. I'm trying to attack all this before I'm 30 because it looks better, right?
Absolutely.
So, and of course, I need help. I need people who are plugged into the school systems to book me so I can come speak to these kids.
Yes, sir.
I can't do it alone.
Absolutely.
I don't know how to get these connections.
Absolutely.
You get what I'm saying? All
I'm
I
definitely
know
bring you to my school when we open. So that's already,
Definitely.
you know what I mean? And once you hit FDMG, it's a wrap from there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I would love
everywhere.
to. So your school, to your point. So I remember you were getting a lot of backlash on that, and I'm glad you know what I'm saying, get into it. So when does the school officially open?
I'm glad you asked the question. And first, I want to let my Atlanta family know, as I shared with you off camera, the school was almost in Atlanta. Almost purchased a school, a church school in Decatur. And some situations took place in my personal life that required me to stay close to home. We was just about to choose a date for the signing, to close, and I had to renege. So we ended up with a school in Wilmington, Delaware, that we purchased in 2019. So it's been 5 years since last month, and we just finally finished all the major renovations. We have a paint day coming up April 13th and 14th when we're going to paint the school. In fact, just before I came to you, I had to send the paint color selection for all the classrooms to the paint company so the paint will be ready. So that's what I did right before I came here. But to your point, the reason it took us 5 years to renovate that elementary school was because of unscrupulous, dishonest, unprofessional, and untrustworthy Black contractors. That's the only reason why. We had the money, but how many plumbers did I have to go through? How many HVAC did I have to go through? How many electricians did I have to go through? I wanted to keep the work done by all Black people because it was Black people who donated to the school. So I wanted reciprocal income. I wanted to keep that dollar rotating because, as you know,
you wasn't wrong for that.
Absolutely.
But that's the point I'm trying to make. You had to go outside of your race.
To white folks, and they got the school ready in a year, bro. I gave the brothers 4 years. We got robbed, ripped off, you name it. Gave it to the Caucasians.
And you still speak out for us.
Got to, because understand, it's the mentality that came to us from the slave master. See, when you understand why somebody is sick, you no longer get upset with them because I understand you sick. You understand? So I know I chose psychology to heal my people. So although I'm hurt by the loss of money and the ripping off and the scams that they ran on me, although I'm hurt, I understand we sick. You see, so when it's time for us to renovate the high school across the street, I'm going to go right back to Black contractors because I know there's some good ones out there. I just got to find them.
Exactly.
You see, the problem is we're located in the second smallest state. You see what I'm saying?
I was going to ask you that. Is there Black
Delaware,
people demographic?
Yeah, Wilmington is predominantly Black.
Okay.
And the city of Wilmington supports me in terms of the community. So I get nothing but love in Wilmington.
It must be close to like New Jersey, New York, Philly.
30 minutes from, Wilmington is 15 minutes from Maryland, 15 minutes from New Jersey, 15 minutes from Pennsylvania, 30 minutes from Philly. So what I love most about the school, one of the things is we'll be able to educate boys from 4 states. They can come from Maryland, they could come from Jersey, they could come from Philly, and of course, Delaware. We'll be the only independent Black school in the country educating Black men from 4 states. Not only that, once we get both buildings fully renovated, we'll be the largest independent Black school in the United States.
Can I ask you something?
Sure.
Is it legal to discriminate only Black in a school?
No, you cannot. You cannot.
So
in other words,
okay, so you can have white kids at your school.
If they apply, we have to consider them.
Oh, okay.
If they apply, we have to consider them. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not against it. If a white parent wants to put their child in our school, as long as they understand what we teaching African history. We teaching African political science. We teaching Pan-Africanism, African spirituality. Are you sure you want him to get that? Now, if you want him to get that, come get it. But I don't have a problem having an Asian kid, a Latino kid. Many of them are African anyway, ancestrally. I don't have a problem having an Anglo-Saxon kid in there because I love children. My focus and my priority is my people, but I love children. So if you want your child to come and get this, so be it. I don't have a problem having a few children of another race in there.
And one more time, what is your most likely projected date for, like, what is yours?
We don't control our destiny in that when we apply for our certificate of occupancy, we got to see what the inspectors say from the city when they come through. And I'm gonna be honest with you, they not Dr. Umar fans. So we trying to dot every I and cross every T because I believe they never thought we would finish the renovations. Now that we have, you feel me? I'm gonna stay optimistic, but we gotta be realistic. I believe they're gonna look for anything they can to delay giving us the certificate of occupancy. I would not be surprised if the next time I see you, I tell you we are currently in court having to sue the city because they are discriminating against us by denying us our certificate of occupancy.
That is why I built in the city of South Fulton.
Okay.
I built my museum there because I could have put it in the city of Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
I could have put it on the north side.
Mm-hmm.
I could have put it anywhere. But the mayors and the people and the Black wealth is all Black in South Fulton, and it's independent. South Fulton, Atlanta. So everything I wanted, I got to prove.
South Fulton. Is it
Is
a section of Atlanta or is it its
own
own
independent
municipality?
And I bought
so it's a city itself.
Yes.
Separate from Atlanta.
Yes.
Okay.
And I first lived there. The backstory is I bought a guy named Jason Jeter's house.
Okay.
He was T.I.'s manager.
Okay.
And everybody lived in the house I bought. I bought it at 23 for $600,000 from Jason Jeter. Young Dro lived in that house. Fantasia lived in that house. Omar Epps lived in that house. And this girl named Ming Lee lived in that house. It was a house where celebrities would live.
I got you.
And he even told me, he was like, that house is magical. Whoever lives here, money goes up and they leave. And it happened to me. I bought it and it happened to me. I sold it for $900K though.
Okay.
But it was in South Fulton. And my next door neighbor was the mayor's councilman kind of.
Mm-hmm.
So I say all that to say, that is why I'm building there. Because the stuff I'm able to do gets approved like that because of Black political.
Brother.
See what I'm saying?
If they are working with you, don't leave. Because you're an example of what can happen when the city is working with you.
Exactly.
I'm an example of what can happen when the city don't want you there.
Yeah.
Have you been to the Smithsonian National African American Museum?
In DC? No.
Make sure you go. You and your
I seen it though.
You've seen it. I want you to visit it.
I will.
But the reason I'm bringing this up, I've been a few times. And you know, that museum was built to a tune of $500 million. LeBron donated, Serena donated, a lot of Black celebrities provided matching monies. The reason I asked you about the museum is because I'm disappointed in the Smithsonian. Now, when you go there, you might say, why Dr. Umar got a problem with this? It's rich with information. Rich! You know why I got a problem with it? Because it starts in slavery and it ends in entertainment. So when you go through the tour, slavery, Civil War, Reconstruction, Jim Crow, civil rights, and do you know what's on the top 2 floors? Rap and basketball. Michael Jordan, life-size statue. LeBron James, big screens of all his dunks. Serena Williams, big statue. Harriet Tubman ain't got no statue. No disrespect to Serena, no disrespect to LeBron, no disrespect to Mike. Who meant more to Black America? You three or Harriet Tubman? Where's Frederick Douglass statue? Where's the Honorable Marcus Garvey statue? I was insulted because our greats had no statues. And here you are worshiping celebrities and entertainers. Here's the message that it conveys. Because everybody going to come to America to visit that museum. It looks like they was jungle bunnies in Africa. We enslaved them for their own benefit, but they didn't realize it. They fought to end the slavery through the Civil War. We then had to Jim Crow them because they didn't know how to act. They fought against the Jim Crow. We gave them civil rights. And the minute they got their equality, they start making rap music, catching basketballs and catching footballs and dunking basketballs. No exhibit on the role of Black women in the struggle. No exhibit on the Black fraternities and sororities, not in the way it should be. No exhibit on the true Black freedom fighters. No exhibit on the Black inventors. Now, they may have them speckled through the exhibit, but I mean an exhibit. No exhibit on police brutality? No exhibit on school to prison pipeline? No exhibit on gentrification? Like the things, the cornerstone things that we have contributed or have suffered in this country from, not accurately covered in that museum.
So let me ask you this. If you had to build an African-American museum, how much do you think you could get it done for, in your opinion?
I can't put the price on it. But for $550 million, stay with me.
Yeah.
You don't end a museum with an exhibit on rap and basketball. That's not the last message you give people about who I am.
What should be the last message in your opinion?
The last message for me should probably be the most contemporary issues that we're facing right now. Miseducation, mass incarceration, gentrification, police genocide, access to wealth, or the five major institutions we need to be building. Black banks, give us the history of those. Black hospitals, give us the history of those. For example, did you know we owned and operated 500 different hospitals in American African history in only 400 years? We built more than a hospital a year for 400 years. You can hardly find an independent Black hospital now. In Philadelphia, we used to have Mercy Douglas. In Atlanta, y'all used to have a couple of independent Black hospitals. Where they at? Show us the history of how they got sabotaged by the white hospitals and put out of business in the government. Whether you're dealing with the banks, whether you're dealing with the hospitals, whether you're dealing with the gas stations, whether you're dealing with the supermarkets or the farming, whether you're dealing with real estate, you will always find that the government creates policies that provides Caucasians with a white privilege and that disadvantage Black people. Let's go to the ghetto. The Federal Housing Authority created the ghettos. They gave white people low interest loans to move to the suburbs of Atlanta and trapped us in the hood back when Atlanta was a hood, which it no longer is. And Black people wanted to become homeowners, couldn't. You know why? Because the federal government said, we cannot guarantee a loan in the ghetto. And the Black people said, well, you ain't gonna let me move out there to the white people neighborhood because of redlining and restrictive covenants. So if you're gonna own a home at that time, you had to do it in the hood. They would not give out any loans in the hood, wouldn't let you buy a house in the suburb. And that's how the suburb became a suburb and the inner city became a ghetto. Government policy. Always follow the government policy. And that shows you how the Black community was held in check and the white community was allowed to flourish. White people did not pull themselves up by their bootstraps. They were given handouts by the government that allowed them to thrive.
I realized that when I moved to Kansas. And
what part?
I was in Manhattan for a little while, where K-State is, and then Johnson City near the military base. Fort Riley. You know that area?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so it was some kids that I knew, but make a long story short, they owned a farm, but they owned lots of land. And I asked them,
Black children?
No, white.
White children, okay.
I asked them, how did they get that land? And they was like, the government gave it to them.
Yeah. I'm not surprised.
And I was, but like, it gave it to their family a long time ago. So now they collect
Intergenerational
Yes,
wealth,
like
equity.
all free, like something they got like for free. They got free farmland. They was giving free farmland to white Americans back in
Yes,
the day.
they were. Yes,
what
they
was
were.
that called again?
Manifest Destiny was one policy,
Yeah.
and there was a few other ones that came after that. They've always found a way to give white people land that they did not earn. Guess what's going on right now? About 2 weeks ago, I got an email from a brother whose name I cannot call. He said, Dr. Umar, I have proof that the government is funding white people to move into predominantly black cities and buy up the real estate. I'm supposed to meet with him soon. He said, I'm gonna show you in black and white that they're giving white people money to go push us out of
Well,
our
that's
homes.
evident because in Atlanta, you know, I'm
Are they
going
gentrifying Atlanta?
What? Like I'm in a, you name it, you name a hood in Atlanta.
Okay.
You got white people walking dogs.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Running,
Even
riding
in the
bikes
hood of hoods.
in the hood. Yeah, like riding bikes, doing all that.
Wow,
And I went to a real estate project meeting, and it's crazy because my cousin owned a restaurant, and there's what's happening right now in Atlanta is billions and billions and billions of dollars are getting put. It's a $6 billion project happening that don't nobody know what's about to happen.
See, I thought they left y'all alone.
No, it's about to get worse.
Atlanta
it's about to get worse. I'm gonna tell you what's about to happen. Because I went to the meeting.
Okay.
It was in the Hawks Arena. It was on the NBA court floor. We was in Atlanta NBA court. I went to a private meeting. Nothing but white people. Probably like 300 white people, 20 black people, including me.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
So and then I saw the map. I even got it on my phone. I can show you after this. They're going to, what they said was, they're going to bring a lot of advertisement dollars to Atlanta, but what they're doing is they're buying up all of the land, $6 billion, and his restaurant also is affected by that.
So let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Because Atlanta has a plethora of black celebrities.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering why, or maybe this is in motion. Maybe you.
We don't got enough money to fuck with them. $6 billion.
But do we? I got you. But can we at least put up a good fight to keep some of the land in our hands? I mean, you got Tyler Perry. He's a billionaire. You know what I mean? So, y'all have a lot of celebrities.
But they do have a lot of land, like Jeezy, Fly. A lot of people got land and stuff.
Right, but what I'm saying is, is there a movement? I hear you.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a movement for them to come together, create a united front to try to buy more land, not just for themselves, but so that our people still have a place to live in Atlanta?
Let me ask you this. Let me caveat off this though. Dubai, for example, the city.
Yes, sir.
It was desert 20 years ago, right?
Las Vegas.
Las Vegas was a desert.
Yes.
So what's stopping us as black people picking some rural cheap land and building our own shit?
Oh, nothing at all.
You get what I'm trying to say?
In fact, I just brought this up not too long ago. There's about 20 cities for sale in the United States. 20 cities, the whole city, with everything in there. Post office, school, fire department, police, railroad. There's 20 cities available in America. And what I always say, black people are some hypocrites. Because if we was that serious about building Black Wall Street, black excellence, and black independence, why don't we put our money together? And I would love to see the celebrities do this, but it's not just on them. We can do this. I would love to see us put our money together. And if you're interested, I'm willing to collaborate with you on this. Put our money together, purchase one of them cities, and build a Black Wall Street for our people. You have 20 abandoned cities. At least the lowest price I've seen was about $250,000, all the way up to maybe $10 million. There's one place called Hell, Michigan. I don't know if people want to live in a place called Hell, but there's Hell, Michigan. They're all over the country.
There's one in Georgia.
Yeah, there's one in Georgia. Mm-hmm. There's one in Pennsylvania. They're all over. So if we serious, why not do that? Your own city. That means we incorporate it. That means if we want all black police, it's all black police. We want all black fire, it's all black fire. We want all black teachers, it's all black teachers. I'm going to tell you what's holding us back. And it takes it right back to our conversation on economics. You know what's holding us back?
What's that?
Most black people want proximity to white success more than they want black independence. In other words, most of us, if we had to choose, I can go and live amongst a sea of white people who are filthy rich and be one of one, right? Or I can help build an independent black community that may not be as wealthy as the white community, but we will own it all and it will be ours. You know what most Negroes will choose? To be the only black family in that white neighborhood.
But I also believe the opportunity is not put forth on a serious note to the table. And let me say this too. A lot of times we believe that a lot of black people aren't fighting for black people. And then as I got older, I realized most of them just living in their own world. Just being all the way honest, like, okay.
What do you mean by living in their own world?
Okay.
Give me an example.
I'm doing this. I'm doing stocks. I'm doing this. This is all I know. I was born American. This is all I know. So I'm living in my own world, doing the best. You get what I'm saying? Like, as much as I want to help black people, if I don't have the influence, right? Like, but all my time and energy is into this. How can I, like, you know what I think it would take for a city like that to be built? It would take somebody who has money and influence. Like Oprah saying, I'm moving here. I'm going to clear this land, build a house. I'm moving here. Then you got to put jobs there. It's an African billionaire. His name Freedom in Ghana. He's building a city in Ghana. And I want to show you the layout.
Okay.
He's going to spend $500 million on this, right? And he's getting funding from his, rich friends too. So, but anyways, it takes that. But he also said it takes providing jobs there. Because if you don't have jobs, let's just say somebody would not only have to put housing there, but money. It'll take way more than just.
Let me ask you a question. The second largest city in America is Chicago, Illinois.
Right.
It was founded by a black man, Jean Baptiste Point du Sable. If a black man can found the second largest city in America with almost nothing, what excuse do we have today? Why do we have to start big? Let me give you an example.
Right.
People ask me, Dr. Umar, how many students you going to start with at the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy? I'm starting with 3 grades, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Maybe 2 classes per grade, 20 students a class, right? 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, and 120. Why am I starting small? Because there's no need to start big until you perfected your operation. So let's say we do go buy Hell, Michigan, or any of these 20 cities for sale in America. Who says we got to have 1,000 people there to start? You need a few teachers. You need a few firemen. You need a few police. You can start that city with 35 people and grow it slowly at a time. Let nobody in unless they're willing to invest in it. All I'm saying is all great things started small. All great things start small.
It has to be super, super intentional, though.
If we do not get intentional about our survival, we will be exterminated. The Honorable Marcus Garvey said it. Any people who depends upon another for their survival sooner or later dies. Garvey said, if the black man and woman are not careful, we will drink in all the poison of Western civilization and die from the effects of it. What I'm saying is you can live in your own world, but tie it back into the freedom struggle for black people. We can't afford to live in our own world because when they come for all of us. Let me give you a Titanic comparison. We all on the Titanic, 50 million black people in America. The country is the Titanic. The boat is sinking, but guess what? The water is 50 degrees below zero. If you're in that water for 5 minutes, you're gone, right? So then you and I say, hey, everybody, let's work together. Let's find a way to save everybody. We got some ships, we got some boats, we got some floating metal. We're going to try to make this happen. But you know what? The people who have no faith in the group, you know what they're going to say? I'm going to do my own thing. And guess what happens? Just like with the real Titanic with the Caucasians, most of them died because they were more concerned about saving themselves than saving the group. What I'm saying is black people have to come to the realization, and it's our job to help get them there, that the solution is cooperation, not selfishness. The reason it's so easy for white America to pick us apart the way that they do, this week, I done heard about 10 black murders, not including the black on black crime murders in Alabama, a white man drove a sister over in his truck. They had to airlift her to the hospital. The police found the white man who did it, would not arrest him. I done seen about 2 more lynchings of black men that's being blamed on suicide. I seen this morning about a black girl, teenager, Cape Coral, Florida, murdered by this white boy. We are catching hell. We are in a state of emergency. And if we don't have our ears to the ground in our community, we won't always know how serious it is for our people. Everything you do, everything I do, everything those brothers over there do, we got to find a way to tie it back into the people. You're pretty much doing that with teaching your classes. You're pretty much doing that by what I hope to be the creation of a school to teach our children what you're doing. But you got to tie it back in. Selfishness is at the root of why it's so easy for white people to oppress blacks. Let's go to the elections coming up. Donald Trump, Joe Biden. It don't matter who you vote for. You're not getting nothing from either one of them. You know why? Because we are disorganized. We will not bring the black vote together and say, listen, if you want the votes from black America, this is the list of demands. How many can you take care of? That's who's going to get the black vote. And if you don't deliver on your promise, the same 50 million black votes that put you in office will take you out in 4 years. Organization. Stokely Carmichael said, if you organize a little, you get a little done. If you organize some, you get some done. But if you don't organize at all, you don't get nothing done. Alexander Crummell, father of Pan-Africanism, said we need power. In order to get power, you got to be organized.
And in
order to be organized, you got to have unity.
You think we need more political or financial power?
You need both. It's political.
I don't believe we could ever get in political power in America.
Your financial power automatically translates to political power.
Thank you. I believe we focus on finances and we own things, just like you said, and we're vertically integrating ourselves. Then we'll get there.
No, you must still fight for the political power while you're building the economics.
Political power meaning like try to be president and all that?
No. You're talking about political positions.
That's
irrelevant.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
The people who run the government are not the people in office. Let me give you an example. Let's take the Rockefellers. Let's take the Morgans. Let's take the Vanderbilts. These are some of the most influential families in American history. The Rockefellers were not a political family. Yeah, Nelson Rockefeller was governor of New York, but they were an oil company. How did they end up with the Council on Foreign Relations? How did they end up with the Trilateral Commission? Why was the Rockefellers making decisions for the U.S. government? Because when you have that amount of wealth, you automatically dictate the political agenda of a country. What did Father Rothschild say? That's another family. The Rothschilds, the most powerful European Jewish banking establishment in the history of the world. Do you know what the father said? Listen to this quote. Give me control over a people's money. I care not who makes the laws.
So can I ask you this? What is the list of demands that we as black people should give to the political powers that says you should get our vote, in your opinion?
Great question. I'm going to give you a few, but this list will not be exhaustive. Number one, the percentage of black children in the public school automatically equals the percentage of teachers of our race. In other words, if the schools in Atlanta, Georgia have 75% black children, the teachers better be 75% black. The principals better be 75% black. We want student-teacher reciprocity in every public school. Because although I don't believe every white teacher hates black children, I do know that a black teacher can teach a black child way better than a white child can because you are of their race. You see, so that's one thing. Schools have to change. Along with that, they're going to put all the industrial building trades back into the schools. Because although we do want all of our young people in crypto, we want them in stocks, but they need the seed money to get in there. And you know where the seed money going to come from? Being a licensed plumber, being a licensed welder, being a licensed roofer, being a licensed electrician, an auto mechanic. The skills that paid the bills were stripped from our schools back in the 70s, and that's what gave birth to mass incarceration. If they never took the industrial building trade training programs out the black high schools, we could have never filled up the prisons the way that we do. So we have to do what you're doing with the economic science, but let's marry it to the industrial building trades. That together. Because when you go around Atlanta, you look at a lot of the construction that's being built, it ain't being built by people who look like you and I. You know why? Because we send all our kids to college and we not sending them to the trade school. So you see Mexican labor, Chinese labor, Arab labor. Where the black men at? We told them to go to college. So now your son or daughter got a $250,000 college degree in grasshopper reproduction or earthworm maintenance.
That's how the Hispanics are coming up. But
Building trades.
But continue with more points
Okay.
on that list.
So education, because the mother of all violence is miseducation, and the father of all violence is economic castration. Now let's go to the economics. On the economic front, you have to invest directly into the Black community with entrepreneurial dollars and corporation dollars to help Black people realize their own economic dream. What I mean by that is this: half the Black homeless people in Atlanta, if you gave them $50,000, would never be homeless again. That's how sharp they are. That's how good their vision is. Whether it's t-shirts, whether it's real estate, whether it's open up a restaurant, whether it's a bed and breakfast, an Airbnb, put $50,000 in their hand. Give them an entrepreneurial coach who will help them turn that money into the small business idea. They'll never be homeless again. Without economic investment into the oppressed, it's going to be difficult to lift us up. Stop putting money into poverty. This is what the government does. They'll come to Atlanta. They'll come to Albany. They'll come to Savannah. They'll come to where my people are from. We're from Blakely, Georgia, by the way. This is the state of my paternal ancestors. And they'll put a whole bunch of poverty programs in your city. We got a program for the drug addicts. We got a program for the opioid users. We got a program for the single mothers. We got a program for the ex-offenders. We got a program for the homeless. You're investing in poverty. The hell with them poverty programs. That's nothing but poverty pimping. Take that money you was going to give to them and put it in their hand for a business. It's the same thing I said to LeBron and Oprah. LeBron and Oprah. Y'all have done a good job putting all these Black children through college, right? Mm. But you know what the contradiction is? College doesn't equal employment for Black children. There's an article that just came out. What was it, Time magazine last week? 60% of Americans, regardless of race, are working in a profession that has absolutely nothing to do with their college degree. So Oprah and LeBron, if you're putting out $250,000 to give my two daughters a college degree that they're not going to do nothing with, that's a waste of money. Don't give them $250 for no white school. Put it in their hand with an entrepreneurial coach that will help them realize their business idea. That's what we need. We need economic revolution. To your point, we got to stop begging for rights. We don't need rights. We need resources. We keep on begging to participate. Forget participating with white folks. We should be fighting for money and resources, not permission to be next to white people. But we keep on doing that. You see it. Oh, this is the first Black CEO of such and such. He's the first senior vice president of such and such. Mm-hmm. She's the first. That ain't doing nothing for us. That's another token Negro who will be fired in 10 or 20 years after they sucked out every drop of knowledge. Because the only reason why they give you that job, they're going to come to you. They're going to come to you soon. They're going to say, Brother Aristotle, we would like for you to be the CEO of this Fortune 500. We're going to pay you $500,000 a year. You say, oh, shit.
That's too low of money.
But stay with me. Hell, they go up with you. But here's the point. Even if they offer you $1 million, here's the point. They're only bringing you in there to learn everything you know, master what you're doing that they ain't mastered. And the minute they master it, you get laid off. And then you go back to what you was doing. It ain't no market left. You gave them everything. And they didn't corner your market. Black, what did I say earlier? We would rather be around white folks than corner our own markets. What are you doing over here as they CEO? What are you doing over here as they lead counsel? What are you doing over here as they vice president? They're only using you for your intelligence in the industry. Once they get it, you're gone. If it ain't all Black, I don't want no parts of it.
That was game.
If you go do your research on Walmart and Netflix and all these white megacorps, they didn't get their money from Wells Fargo, Chase Manhattan. So they got it from rich white folks.
So to your point, we don't have, that too.
They invest in each other.
We don't have a Black venture capital. Hey, let's put our money together and help Black people succeed. They're going to, like, for instance.
That's what we need. Bingo.
We need Shaq. We need everybody to come together and say, like, damn near Shark Tank this motherfucker.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
But don't scapegoat the celebrities, though. And what I mean by that, none of our struggles did the celebrities play a big part in them.
Yeah, you're right. We can't do celebrities.
Instead of Shaq,
Black entrepreneurs.
You look at Shaq, it would be easy if we have Shaq. Shaq is cooned out. Shaq ain't helping us. And I love Shaq. Shaq is a Negro peon. Here's the point that I'm making. I can't believe I used to have Charles Barkley poster on my wall as a kid. That Negro is a Negro peon. But here's what I'm saying. Look at Shaq's income, right? I would say, how many black people equal Shaq income? Because we ain't getting Shaq. You could forget it. Shaq ain't he a sheriff in Georgia somewhere? Shaq is a sheriff in Georgia. Love the police. But we'll deal with that later. But I would say, how many black people income equal Shaq? You say we need 50 people to equal Shaq. Then get your 50 people. How many black people equal Oprah? You're going to need a whole lot more. She's the richest woman in the history of the North American continent. But my point is, if you're waiting on the celebrities, we never get there, bro.
Nah.
Get your everyday. I'd rather have 1 million workers than 10 celebrities. They're not coming. They are corporate property.
So what you're saying is we need
grassroots dollars.
But here's the thing too. And not to call Buddy out, but we saw somebody create Jay Morrison.
Okay.
We saw somebody say, hey, black people, bring your small money to me. I'm going to help you guys invest it.
Okay.
All right. So now, if we try that again, and he named it after Black Wall Street.
Yes, he did.
Right? So, and that's not any shade, but what I'm saying is.
What is the state of it now? And I'm only asking because I don't follow.
I don't know, but from what I'm seeing online is it is down to his last. That $11 million is gone.
Has he admitted to it?
Yes.
Okay.
From what I don't know what exactly going on. What I'm saying is it hasn't succeeded. Correct.
Okay. And the only reason why I asked that, because people accuse me of stealing the school money.
Okay.
And the reason I really don't feed into it, because you're going to see that school open. So I ain't got to say, you feel me? We had to finish, so I'm good. Right. They all going to have to eat their words, and then they never coming into the school.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
You just got to succeed at what you do.
You got to succeed.
But what I'm saying is, I say all that to say, we need, you're right. We need to put it
on you too, because I'm going to say, with your knowledge in investing,
right,
in the interest of the community,
right.
Did you ever request to sit down with Jay and say, look, bro, you came to Atlanta. I'm born and raised here.
Real estate, stocks.
Okay. So
you get what I'm saying? Like, it's a whole difference.
Okay.
And Okay. And on top of that.
Because I really feel people in the know should approach anybody.
Thank you.
You feel me?
Yeah.
And say, let's have a conversation about that. And what I'm doing, I'm surrounded by educators because I'm an educator. You see what I'm saying? So we
got to put the people who know what they're doing in the positions.
But we also got to make sure he don't know what he's doing. I don't know. But because I saw the way in which I was attacked online and it was completely frivolous allegations, we do got to make sure that this just isn't a smear campaign against Jay Morrison.
I'm not smearing him.
I'm not saying you. Not you.
I know, but what
you're asking
my point is, we as black people seen that before.
Okay. We have had things like that.
Yes.
Fail in our faces.
Thank you.
Okay.
We have had that.
Okay.
And I'm not saying he's a failure. I'm just saying allegedly. That's what they're saying.
Yeah, allegedly. I'm not saying that I would never accuse a brother after what I've been through.
Yeah, so it's like, what we got to do is figure out who's good at this. But also, too, they got to be independent because you're right. If they all up under they asses, the white folks' ass, they're not going to
take you out. They're going to take you out.
Well, if their income comes from that, then whatever we're trying to do, they're not going to want to be a part of.
Of course.
Because of brand, sponsorship, this, that.
You saw what LeBron just did the other day, and I love LeBron as a role model for our children, black wife, never been in trouble.
Perfect.
But LeBron, you're going to start a podcast with JJ Redick? You're the most prominent black celebrity who's still active, and you're going to pull a white man in and do a podcast. And LeBron podcast is going to make so much money and garner so much status. You could have got Carmelo, Dwayne Wade. You could have got any retired black basketball player. You could have went to the college hoops. You could have got somebody from one of the universities. You mean to tell me you had a chance to empower a black person, because you don't need no credentials to start a podcast. You don't need no experience to start a podcast. JJ Redick? No disrespect to him, but my brother, you black. Why not use that opportunity to empower one of your own? And those are the opportunities that I think a lot of our celebrities let go to waste by trying to prove to white people that this.
But can I say this?
Mm-hmm.
He empowered Rich Paul. He empowered the guys who he went to all his close
Those were
friends.
his friends from childhood.
Right, but
That's
he
not an
did
investment in the
empower
community, though.
black men,
He did,
though.
but that's not an investment in
He
the
got
community.
black wife, black children.
That's personal. I'm talking about the community. In other words, that's like Dr. Umar go out here and I build a school and I build a Black Wall Street and I build a bank.
But,
and build
okay,
out,
let me
and
ask-
then I go marry a white girl. Oh, but he built the school. I don't give a damn.
But let me say this.
360-degree blackness all day, every day. No breaks. We can't take no breaks.
Okay, but let me say this to just to caveat out that, because I do hear your point, but some men think from an analytical standpoint. So hear me out. Let me finish my point.
Go ahead.
LeBron is a black man. JJ Redick is a white man. White people play basketball too. So is it possible that we can get money with these folks and then still send it home? You get what I'm saying? Because I don't see nothing wrong with doing business with white people, right? And then still going to help out your people. He still got to go home.
JJ Redick not on LeBron James's level.
I get.
He
No,
ain't
I'm
won
not saying,
no title. He ain't been in no finals. He ain't got no record. It's not like he's meeting somebody on his same stature. Let's say if he said, I'm going to do this with Bill Gates. That's different. Because it's Bill Gates. At least you're going up. You went down.
But he's still a white man who will attract white audiences.
LeBron James don't need JJ Redick's crowd. He's LeBron James.
I know.
Come on.
I know. But I don't see nothing wrong with diversifying and still getting your money and taking it home.
Okay, you want to diversify? Go get you a Canadian African. You want to diversify? Go get you a Caribbean African. You want to diversify? Go get you a continental African.
Right.
JJ Redick didn't earn that.
But what I'm saying is
you going down on the food chain.
All right, hear me out though. This is why I say this. I have a company, right? And it's black owned, but I don't support it as black owned.
No, that's fine.
All right,
that's strategy. I'm cool with that.
All right, hear me out.
Strategy. That's strategy. If you told me, Dr. Umar, I got a white person in front of my business,
yes,
I'm cool with that. That's strategy.
I got three
but
white
you
boys
still
who work
own
with
it.
me. Yeah,
I'm cool
an
with
Indian and an African.
I'm
so
cool
he's
with
from
that.
Nigeria.
Well, African is us. That's family. But yeah.
Yeah, right. And I'm the only African American on my team. But he's on my team.
Are you the owner?
He's on my team. Yes.
As long as you're the owner. Because what
LeBron James is the owner of that podcast, and he's employing.
They're doing it together. No. That's a co-venture.
Listen.
That's a co-venture.
But who gets the majority stake?
LeBron James doing JJ Redick, a podcast with JJ Redick is a welfare check to white people. That's a welfare check to white. He ain't got no business. Now, if he said, I'm going to do it with Larry Bird is one of the greatest, according to them. JJ Redick, bro? You went all the way down the food chain? Bro,
but we are in America, are we not?
So what?
We're not.
The Chinese in America, when the last time they hired a black person to make some shrimp fried rice?
Listen, my wife is black. My kids is black, right?
Yes.
But I have no problem with doing business with white people
That's
to bring
business.
money home to help my people.
LeBron don't need JJ Redick to bring no money home.
He don't. But what I understand. But diversifying the
I'm gonna
brand,
get you for this.
I don't see nothing wrong with diversifying brands because you never know. Let's just say,
What?
All right.
You think LeBron James needs to diversify?
No.
You know how many
but
white folks love LeBron? He's the most global black athlete in the world. What can JJ Redick do for LeBron James's brand? Come on.
All right. So now it's time for me to get to know you.
Yes, sir. Right. Yes, sir.
So I want you to walk me through how was your upbringing from elementary to 12th grade?
Okay. I was born in North Central Philadelphia, same neighborhood as Bill Cosby. Jill Scott, Meek Mill, we all from North Philly. Although I went to middle school in West Philly, and I believe Will Smith's mother might have been the secretary. At least it was rumored. She was the secretary at Beaver Junior High School. But anyhow, my parents were married. We moved to North Carolina. I decided that I wanted to be a psychologist while we were in North Carolina. And I decided on psychology because I didn't have an older brother. I'm the oldest of 5 boys.
Hold on. Elementary school, you lived in Philadelphia.
North Philly.
Middle school, you lived?
No. Elementary school, I moved to North Carolina.
You moved to North Carolina elementary school?
I was there for maybe 2 years.
And then middle school?
Moved back to North Philly after my parents' divorce. You feel me?
And that was in middle school?
No, still elementary.
That was elementary school?
Right.
Okay.
Because we moved to North Carolina, I was in like 2nd, 3rd grade.
Okay.
So when we get back to Philly, 4th, 5th, and 6th was still elementary. When we come back, the elementary school that I attend has a Black history class. Mandatory. Even though the school district didn't require it, our principal made it happen. I don't know how.
Black
The principal
principal
was white. He was
Wow.
white.
Oh, wow.
The teacher was black. So they made something happen.
Okay.
So I took Black history class in the 4th and 5th grade. They did not have it for 6th grade. That crushed me. But that was my introduction to Black consciousness, and that was my introduction to public speaking. I entered the Black history oratorical contest. I won first place both years for public speaking. I never shut up since.
And that was what grade?
4th and 5th.
4th and 5th.
9 and 10 years old. 9 and 10. And so I'm living proof of what happens when you learn who you are at an early age.
I gotta keep going though, because I gotta get to know.
Yes, sir.
High school.
So when I graduate from Meade Elementary, I go to West Philly for Beaver Junior High because I was one of the smart kids. So I went out there. My father thought I was a mama's boy. So he sent me out to the Scotland School for Veterans Children in Chambersburg, Pennsylvania for high school, residential, JROTC school. Uniforms, drilling, physical training in the morning, training camp in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, you feel me? Pro-military.
Right.
The consciousness that I got in elementary school never left me.
Same here.
So when I got to the high school, they wanted to throw me out because I didn't pledge the flag. But they couldn't because Scotland School was publicly funded.
Why did you decide not to pledge that flag?
Well, for my father, it was religious because I was raised Sunni Orthodox Islam by my father. So the religion dictated you don't pledge to anything but the Most High, right? Politically, I didn't do it because I was a Pan-Africanist. So they wanted to throw me out to the state.
So you were still sporting the pro-blackness through middle and high school?
Talk to anybody who know me. Talk to anybody who know me. So when I graduate from Scotland School, I go to Millersville University in Lancaster County, PA. Tyreek from the Roots, he went to Millersville. So at Millersville, I joined the Black Student Union. I get elected the Black Student Union president my first senior year. I was there for 5. My first act of office was Minister Farrakhan's first Million Man March, October 16th, 1995. Then after that, senior year, we had a big concert to endow a scholarship for Black children, Island Coleman Scholarship, named after the first president of the BSU and after a sister who lost her life. And we had Jay-Z and KRS-One. That was May 5th or April 5th, 1997. Me and Jay-Z almost got into a fight backstage because his crew kept pulling girls back, and KRS-One was the main act. Hard Not Life 1 was just about to drop or just dropped. And his team kept pulling girls backstage, and KRS-One said, I'm not coming out unless it's clear. So I'm telling Jay-Z, you got to stop, because if you keep doing this, KRS not coming out. Then the school security, who didn't want us to have the concert anyway, they said, if it get too crowded back here, we're going to shut this whole thing down. So I'm telling Jay-Z and B-High, his homie, y'all got to stop. Y'all messing my concert up.
And y'all were how old at this time?
19. Jay-Z is probably about 26. And I can't find the picture. I got a picture of me and Carter, and I want to post this picture so bad so people can see that the king of hip hop and the king of Black consciousness met in an old farm town in Lancaster, PA, how many years ago. So anyway, I graduate from Millersville. I joined the Garvey movement. Now, this is how I know my work is from the ancestors. That elementary school, Black history class, 3 blocks away is the headquarters for the Marcus Garvey movement, international. The red, black, and green. My mother bought my sneakers from the Jewish-owned sneaker store that's right next to the Garvey building. I never knew it was the Garvey building. Guess how I found out? After I graduated from undergrad, I'm going to go buy some sneakers, and they painted red, black, and green. And there's a picture of Marcus Garvey in the window. One of the elders come around the corner. If he doesn't come around that corner that day, if they don't paint that building red, black, and green, I can never ask him, what are y'all doing here? He said, this is the Marcus Garvey movement. UNIA, you need to come back Sunday at 3. I went back Sunday at 3. I ain't never left. Right around the corner from the elementary school, which is my introduction to Black. If my parents don't divorce, this is how life works, not just for me, but for all of us.
Right.
There's a hidden hand in a lot of this. Half of your life is your creation. The other half of your life was created in heaven before you got here. If my parents don't divorce, if my mother don't move back to North Philly, if I don't go to that school, if she don't buy my sneakers at that store, we may not be sitting here right now. See, I'm a practitioner of Ifa, the Yoruba spirituality out of Nigeria, right? But all African spirituality has more in common than it has, in opposition. We believe that in heaven, before you come to earth, you negotiate a purpose. You have a purpose on this earth that was signed off on by God before you came. Your job is to find and fulfill your purpose. Your purpose may be to be the great financial problem solver for Black America. It could be something completely different. The problem is we got to make sure we find our purpose. People always ask me, how do you keep going with some of the hate you get? First of all, I get way more love than hate. That's number one.
Exactly.
But number two, I know I'm walking my purpose. I don't think it's a coincidence I'm related to Frederick Douglass. I left that out. So 4th and 5th grade was Black History. 6th grade, my father takes me to my first family reunion, Baltimore, Maryland. We walking in the back of the family reunion. I see Frederick Douglass hat, Frederick Douglass shoes, Frederick Douglass Bible. I said, why is Frederick Douglass stuff? He said, you're related to him. My mouth dropped. Well, I said, what?
That's hard.
I shared blood with Frederick Douglass. So it turns out that Frederick Douglass's mother and my 5 times great-grandmother were sisters.
And I know there's a Frederick Douglass High School in Baltimore. Right?
Everywhere.
Oh, everywhere.
Every city got a Frederick Douglass.
I know.
There's a Frederick Douglass and a Martin Luther King's everywhere.
You want to know what's parallel to this, though? I went to a school called Heritage Academy in elementary school.
Charter or public?
It was public.
Okay.
And the teacher, her name was Miss Patterson. And I'll never forget this woman. She had an Erykah Badu, Lauryn Hill mix to her.
Ooh.
She was a real pro-Black, dreads.
And what grade was you in?
I was in the 5th grade. To this day, I'm touched by this woman.
Yes, sir.
This woman was powerful. She had us creating music to learn. I still remember the songs to this day. I still know my adjective, nouns, parts of speech to this day because of her.
Wow.
On her wall, it was Black kings and queens. It was everything. She had sage burning. Woo. Like everything when I was in Heritage Academy, incense, all that.
That's powerful.
And we took Black history to the next level. I still remember all the Black inventors from 5th grade. Charles Drew, blood transfusion. Garrett Morgan, traffic light.
And the gas mask.
Gas mask.
Jan Metzler got the shoe machine.
We did the air conditioning. We did the doorknob. We
refrigerated truck.
Yeah, refrigerator. We did the super soaker, the cellular phone. I learned all that in 5th grade.
First Black man with a patent on the airplane too, before the Wright brothers had it. And he was a slave.
Did I mention air conditioning? Yeah. Did I mention ice cream?
The golf tee.
Yep. Yeah, so much.
The door stop, the ironing board.
The light bulb,
Lewis
Lattimore. Lewis Lattimore stole the patent.
Yeah, he was bad.
Yeah, so
Lattimore was bad.
I learned all that in 5th grade from Miss Patterson.
Black excellence.
So,
and we invented most of that stuff before we sat next to white kids in the classroom.
Exactly.
See, when they desegregated the public schools, I don't know if you noticed, some of our leaders didn't agree with it. W.E.B. Du Bois, and I think he loved white folks. But guess what? He was against school desegregation. Zora Neale Hurston, she was against public school desegregation.
Booker T and W.E. Du Bois, we had to do the debate between them. We had to act out the debate. I can't remember what the debate was about. Can you inform me on that?
Yes, the main difference, and I'm only bringing this up because it's still relevant. W.E.B. Du Bois thought the priority should be to fight for political equality and social equality. Booker T. Washington said, you will never get political and social equality until you get economic empowerment. Your message, my message. Booker T said, stop begging these white people to accept us and treat us fair. Because once we build ourselves up economically, they will have no choice. You know who proved Booker T right? All the immigrants you see in America. When the Chinese come here, do they really care who's going to be the next president? When the Arabs open up the gas station, do they really care who's going to be the next president? When the East Indians open up another hotel, another Dunkin' Donuts, do they care who's going to be the next president? Because what did Rothschild say? Give me control over people's money. Do you think any immigrant business in the Black community in Atlanta care who your next mayor is going to be? You think they care less who the next mayor is going to be? No, because I own the gas. You still coming to me for the gas. You still coming to me for the hotel. You still coming to me for your Dunkin' Donuts in the morning. It don't matter who gets elected. And that's what Black people don't understand. We keep trying to Trump, Biden. It don't matter until you get your economics together and your unity.
I just said that this morning. I was like, I don't care who gets elected. As long as I get me some money and all that, I don't care about that. Did you ever vote?
I do, but I only vote when I feel I have a reason to vote.
You voted for Obama?
No, I didn't vote at all in that election. I didn't feel there was anything for him in that election. Obama is a token. And who was he going against? Mitt Romney, right?
Mitt Romney, yeah.
And he's a white supremacist. White supremacist flunky versus white supremacist. What's my options? I believe the black vote is important, but for me, my vote is too valuable. I don't just give my vote because I can. That's like you walking into a store and taking out all the money in your pocket and put it on the table. Are you going to buy anything here? It don't matter. The store open. I got to give them some money. That's what we do on election day. What is on the table for black people this November? Nothing. So why are you voting? Because my ancestors died for me to vote. No, they didn't. Your ancestors died for you to be free. Voting was the strategy they used to get you there. Voting is a tactic. It's a strategy. It's not a way of life. Black people turned it into a damn way of life. And the reason why black people vote so much is how we assuage our consciousness, because we're not going to do nothing else for ourselves except vote and pray.
How do you feel like religion holds back black people economically?
In a big way. Religion gives black people an artificial security blanket that says, even if you do nothing because you believe in Christ, even if you do nothing because you believe in Muhammad ibn Abdullah, even if you do nothing because you believe in Moses and his Torah, because you believe in nothing, although you're not doing anything for yourself, because you believe in this, God will solve your problems for you. We have the most debilitating religious foundation in America because nobody else's religion teaches them that God is going to solve their racial problems. The only people who believe that is black folks. And that's why Napoleon Bonaparte, and I'm no fan of Napoleon, who lost to Toussaint L'Ouverture and Jean-Jacques Dessalines in the Haitian Revolution of 1791, Napoleon, the white man's greatest military general, what did he say about religion? Quote, religion is what keeps the poor man from killing the rich one. Religion is what keeps the poor man from killing the rich one. Do you know how crazy it would be on these streets right now if it wasn't for religion? Why you think they don't make the churches pay no taxes? The white man loves religion. He probably out there building a new church for you right now with some chicken wings and some Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
And some sweet potato pie. Black people care, man.
You set a bar.
And I'm not against religion. Most of my Pan-African forefathers, they were pastors. Marcus Garvey was a devout Christian. Bishop Turner, who's buried in the same cemetery with Dr. King's mother and father, the first black man to say God was black, he was a pastor. Alexander Crummell was a pastor. Henry Highland Garnett was a pastor. Most of my Pan-Africanist forefathers were pastors, but they believed in black excellence and black struggle. Today, these pastors sell our people pie in the sky. You ain't got to do nothing but pray and give me a couple dollars, and all will be well. And we believe it.
They say attendance is going down in the black church. What is your theory on why?
Well, number one, the black church does nothing for black men. What is our number one responsibility? To provide. Why am I going to church for church, Bible study, choir? What am I getting out of this? The pastor is getting everything. He get all the women, all the money, and all the women. I'm in here broke, no job, no house. The black man really doesn't have a purpose for church unless he already got it going on. Most of the men you see go to church, they already got it going on. Mm-hmm. Brothers who struggle, they ain't got time for church. They got to feed their kids. Mm-hmm. So my thing is not the religion, but the way it's taught. If somebody's going to come with a black power theology, I'll join your church. You're going to come with a black power theology, I'll join your Hebrew temple. You're going to come with a black power theology, I'll join your Islamic masjid. But if you're telling our people to wait for God to come and solve their problems while we wasting $2 billion on Air Jordans every year, $4 billion on liquor every year, $30 billion on hair and beauty every year. You know, we buy 3 times the amount of Mercedes-Benzes as Caucasians, and we don't even have 1/3 of the wealth of white folks. Why do black people have more Mercedes than white people? And you ain't even got 1/3 of their money. Because Negroes love status symbols. And we love to look rich even if we are not. And that's one of the reasons why I didn't buy a new car. until my 1995 GMC Jimmy died on 95 South.
What you
People say,
riding?
you a whole psychologist. Why you ain't got no new car yet? For what? Who I got to prove something to? And I got that engine replaced. I got the trans replaced. And then one day driving back from speaking in Coatesville, Pennsylvania, back home to Philly, my engine died and she would not wake back up. I tried to give her mouth to mouth. I was pushing the chest and my Jimmy died. And that's when I had to buy a new car. Because one of the best things we can do for our children is to liberate them from compulsive spending and the need to have in order to feel they are somebody. One of the reasons why I said your economic programs can be tied to so many solutions in our community is our children in Black America. Let's take Atlanta. In Atlanta, y'all got a lot of successful Blacks. So children see these successful Blacks with all kind of successful status symbols, right? But can I ask you a question? If I'm being raised to believe I need Air Jordans, I need a Benz, I need a big house, I need a Louis Vuitton bag, I need a $500 weave on my head to be somebody, but y'all don't make me go to school, y'all don't check my homework, y'all don't make me enroll in the serious classes, all you do is push football, basketball, and music in the community. You're telling me I need this to be somebody, but you're not giving me the skills to become that. So what happens when I graduate and don't have the skills to earn legally all the stuff that Brother Aristotle earns? I'm gonna have to break the law. I'm gonna have to become a criminal. The point that I'm making is I believe Black America is guilty of creating criminals because we're not raising our children the way they need to be raised to legally get the things we tell them they need to be somebody. That's why they're out here killing each other.
You're right. And somebody said a statistic where, to your point, we're literally coming out of high school trying to get a white man's job. We don't even employ each other. So we have to create jobs for each other. That's the main problem too, because we don't have a direct pipeline to get it. Like the Asian folks,
we have no pipelines.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah,
no pipeline because
Yeah.
we have no infrastructure. And the reason we have no infrastructure is number one, we hate each other and we don't trust each other. Lack of trust is a form of self-hate, by the way. That's number one. Number two, if I don't trust my father, chances are I don't like my father. You see that? Number two, most of us want what? Proximity to white success. Listen, let me ask you a question. Shaquille O'Neal is very wealthy. Oprah is very wealthy. Tyler Perry is very wealthy. Sean Puffy Combs, whether he did it or not, I don't know. He's very wealthy. Serena Williams is very wealthy. Tiger Woods is very wealthy. LeBron James is very wealthy. Bob Johnson is very wealthy. I'm giving you our Black billionaires. Rihanna, whose father I met when I spoke in, was it Barbados a few weeks ago? I met Rihanna's father. Rihanna, very wealthy. Here's my question. Jay-Z, Beyonce, very wealthy. And they do some things sometimes, so I want to give them a little bit of shout out there. Why these Black billionaires have more money than they can ever spend and still won't do anything for Black people?
Why?
Not only is it selfishness, not only is it fear of retribution by the white power structure, but do you know what the third reason is? Oprah don't want to lose her access to white society. Tiger Woods don't want to lose his access. Tyler Perry don't want to lose his access to white society. If they see me helping Black people, you think I'm going to get invited to the private rich parties anymore? You think I'm going to get invited to the private rich retreats? They love access to white society. It's the validation they feel they need in order to feel like they've made it in this world. No different than a Black man marrying a white woman is a status symbol that he needs in order to feel equal to the Caucasian male.
That's facts. That's facts. I do agree with that. But I also want to play devil's advocate and say, what if these people actually do not have a plan for Black people? Like, what if...
Oh, they don't got a plan.
You get what I'm trying to say?
They don't got a plan.
They have the money, but they don't have the financial or game plan or
I'm
liberal.
comfortable. I don't care about Black people. And I don't want to lose my invisible ticket to access to white society.
That's facts. But I do also think that's true. And I also think if you had a 6 point, they might not know exactly what to do. I won't say Oprah though. Oprah and Tyler probably do.
No.
So what is the plan?
First of all,
what is the plan?
I'm sure
with
half
their
of them
money
listen to me on a regular basis.
No, that's facts. But what I'm saying is, if they all put, let's just say they say, okay, we listen to y'all Black people. Y'all say we don't do that. We got $2 billion. What should we do with this to help Black people?
What did I tell little Yachty? Right here in Atlanta a few weeks ago on this podcast, I said, Yachty, You successful.
Mm-hmm.
Take your money and open up a small bank. You can start a bank with $250,000. Open up a small bank only for Black children. You got to be under 30 to have an account in my bank. And guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to loan you the money to start your own business. And then you're going to pay me back. So I'm not even losing no equity. You see that? I'm investing in you. You pay me back. And then I'm going to take the payback money and help another young Black child open a bank. I said, little Yachty, if you do that, bro, you'll go down in history as one of the most influential Black economic minds we ever produced. That's all it takes. They don't have to do much. Like what I say about the paying for their education, Oprah and LeBron. Stop paying for the damn college. Put that money in a hand to open up a business and just get a couple business coaches. You won. Coach, this boy want to open up a corner store. Aristotle, I'm going to pay you, or they're going to pay you, to make sure his corner store finally open and operate. Her restaurant, his dry cleaners, his delivery business, his Airbnb. They don't take much. They don't care. And they don't want white people to think they care about Black folks. Rich Black people cannot afford for white people to think they care about Black folks.
Tiger Woods is basically white, though.
Why you say that? Consciousness? Yes. Biologically, he's a Black man.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Like,
but it's conscious. Most of them is Eurocentric.
Yeah.
Most of them European consciousness.
Yeah, damn.
Most of them European consciousness.
Okay. So, let's get off topic. Have you ever been in love?
I've been in love several times. If I could go back in time, I blew up in Black consciousness in September 18th of 2010, the anniversary of Booker T. Washington's Atlanta Cotton Exposition speech, 1895, with a public access television interview in Chicago. 5 weeks later, I'm speaking at the National Black Theater in Harlem, a few blocks away from where Marcus Garvey became a legend, and Malcolm X. Those two events in the two largest Black cities in America was the foundation upon which I became the Prince of Pan-Africanism and King Kong consciousness. If I knew I would become as big as I am, that I would become as big as I am back in 2010 when this process began, I would have married either Kim or Sabrina or Tamala.
You sound like Petey Pablo right now.
Or Wendy or Andrea. Those are the 5 women I've dated after college before I blew up, who I believe could have made an excellent wife. You feel me?
All right.
And if the ancestors would have came to me and said, you're about to go to a whole nother level. You're going to become the biggest voice for Black consciousness in the world, not just the United States, on the planet. If I would have knew that, I would have wifed up one of them. Now, would they have been able to handle this? I don't know, because they were not necessarily as conscious as I am. But neither was Coretta or Betty when they first met Malcolm. You feel me?
Right.
So I don't know if they could have handled it, me being away as much as I am or was, but I would have married one. I'm saying all that to say the reason I'm single at this point is because, as I said earlier, I need a woman who's coming to me to help me, to be a helpmate for the mission I have to rescue my people from eternal oppression at the hands of the white power structure. I don't need a woman coming to me because she just wants to benefit from my status in society or my prominence in social media. And I attract a lot of that kind. I don't get the Winnie Mandelas, the Betty Shabazes, the Amy Garveys, the Anna Douglases, the Coretta Scott Kings, the Miley Evers.
They just want clout, in your opinion.
A lot of them come for clout. Not all. I do know some good sisters, and I'm studying Queens, because how I'm going to have a school for boys without a wife? If I'm telling them to love and honor Black women, how the hell can I do that without a wife? However, I've also been told through spiritual divination that I should not be worrying about selecting a wife right now. I'm supposed to focus on getting the school open. Once the school is open, the wife will come. That's what I've been told through divination.
I think that's a great idea.
Yes, sir.
So,
but I'm gonna have 2 wives though.
Do your
Not
thing.
one.
Do your
2
thing.
wives.
That's dope. So when was
Because
the
a lot
last...
of us as Black men claim to be monogamous and we're not. And we got to be more honest with our women.
That's right.
You feel me? So
Nah,
my
for
thing
sure.
is be honest, give her a chance to make a decision, and let her decide if she wants. If you honest, a lot of them will take it because the alternative ain't that good. And most men in the world have never been monogamous. Monogamy is one of the biggest urban legends ever. White men aren't monogamous. Asian men, who monogamous? Ain't no monogamy. So my thing is, for me and who I'm going to be honest. I'm going to have two, not 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm not cheating when I get married. I'm not getting divorced, but I'm going to have two. And your ass is going to be working. We got a race to save. This ain't no just show up to the events on my arm. This ain't no damn Grammys marriage. Your ass going to be in the trenches working. You're going to earn that wifey status. When they say Queen Kong consciousness, your ass going to earn that.
You might got to go for him, my brother.
We got good American African sisters.
But that's willing to do the 2 wives thing. I have to go for him, my brother.
Well, see, here's the thing. A lot of our
and they already done been 30 years into the American society, engraved in their head on monogamy and Christian marriages and all that.
Here's what I found. It's not that black women won't do polygyny. You know what I found? They don't want to admit they're doing polygyny.
Yeah, that's true.
You know how many black women are dating married men? If you are against plural marriage, why is your boyfriend married? See that? There's a contradiction there. So it's not that they're against sharing. They're against having to admit they share.
I think that's what it is. They don't want the public shame, but then everybody's doing it.
Black women have created a narrative that says if you're part of a plural family, you're weak. And as Queen Mother Scheherazade Ali would say, that's why so many of our women are dying lonely and by themselves, because they are afraid to go against the sisterhood's opinion that plural marriage means you got low self-esteem. No, plural marriage means you are making a wise and conscientious decision to survive with a mate. That's what it means.
Okay, let's talk about it then. How financially stable should a man be to have 2 women, in your opinion?
That's going to depend on the goals that him and his wife to be or wives to be have for that family. What are the goals? Now, don't get me wrong. No romance, no finance, especially if you're going to have more than one household or more than one queen. So you better have your money lined up. You shouldn't even be thinking polygyny if you can't afford to take care of it.
Thank you. So if a dude is going 50-50 with these women, then he shouldn't be thinking that.
I don't think he should.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Any man who's expecting his woman to pay half of everything, which, by the way, I think is one of the weakest new age compromises that black men are demanding. I've never had a woman pay for a date my whole life.
Me either.
I've never had a woman pay for a date because as a man, even when I was struggling, I didn't have a woman pay for a date.
Right.
Because I just believe as a man, that's something you do. So when I hear these brothers say she got to pay for half, even on the first date, damn, you making a sister pay half?
That is some weak ass shit.
Now, some sisters demand it though, because part of the new radical black feminist movement, they don't want men to ever think they need them. So some sisters are so paranoid in proving their independence that they won't let you pay for the meal because I got to show you I can handle my own.
That's the disconnect too. And to your point, they do have to have their finances together. I always tell guys that. And yeah, 50-50 to me doesn't make sense. A woman can't submit to you if she can't stay at home while pregnant.
I agree.
You get what I'm saying? You can't even get her off her feet while she's pregnant.
I agree.
She doesn't deserve to submit to you.
Though
you could get there. You get what I'm saying? I ain't saying nothing wrong with that. Men go through situations and everything, but what I'm saying is you do got to get to that point. And it is up to the leadership, the people like myself. And like I said, I challenge you to step more into our lane as well and get to know the people who actually know what they're doing in finance.
I know some. I know quite a few. You one of the first I met in Atlanta. But I got a couple folks here and there who really know what they're doing. And I'm really trying to increase my knowledge of the sector. Because once we get the school open, brother, we're going to be having every kind of conference you can think of. You know what I mean? I want the stock and trading conference where you come with a whole 100 of y'all. And y'all teach the youth how to do this thing right there the whole weekend. Boot camp. You're going to learn how to trade stocks before you leave here.
So you want to know what I've been doing? I take $10,000 cash of my own money. I'll invite 100 young men in Atlanta to come learn. But I partner with this group called Next Level Boys Academy. His name is Gary Davis. And what he does is he go plead to the judge on the south side of Atlanta to reduce sentences of the young men and say, hey, if I put them through my program, he pleads to the judge to reduce the sentences.
Powerful.
So I would send money to them to free the young men. I would send money to them, and then I would get them together and pay them to come learn. So my next movement is going to be to do that again, and of course, promote it and market it and say, all right, everybody who in the financial space, because I got that type of power, I can say, look, I need $5,000 from you, $5,000 from you. Every $100 going to get to a young. So what I'm saying, even if whoever you are, I'm putting up my 10, wherever you are, put up 5, put up 2,500 something, sponsor 25 kids. Every 100 go to a kid, and we're going to not only show them how to invest that 100. Okay. But we're going to teach them the stock market. We're going to teach them all types of things. You know what I'm saying?
I love it. And then I want you to marry your process and program to other brothers who have some niches that you may not have, or who have your same niche, because we're going to need volume, right?
Right.
And then once you marry all these programs together, we now have a system. And now we have an infrastructure to take these children from A to Z with economics. You're going to learn real estate from him. You're going to learn crypto from him. You're going to learn the stock market from him. You're going to learn business planning from him. You see this? You're going to get your startup money from him. And now that you have this system, this infrastructure to take every black boy in Atlanta from A to Z, and our princesses as well, because we don't want to leave them out, now it's time to talk about building an institution. Where are we going to house this system at? You feel me? Do we get a big high rise downtown? Do we put it, you feel me? You need them institutions, because institutions are what hold the community up. Systems, infrastructure, institutions.
We're missing that in the black community. Yes, I'm hearing we have black financial literacy programs, but why
it's no systems?
It's
not systematized.
I'm hearing about it, but I'm not seeing the effects of it.
Because we're not collaborating.
Yeah, that's
what happens is once you start making enough money, I'm straight. You feel me? And we just fall back. I'm good. We look at ourselves and we look at our family, because we don't see our community as our extended family. The biggest difference between American Africans, Asians, Arabs, Latinos, East Indians, European Jews, Caucasians, European Jews, they have their internal differences, but they still see members of their community as their extended family. Chinese, if a Chinese man is hungry, he could be hungry. You think he coming to your soul food restaurant? He might love chicken. And I know they love chicken because I was in China. They eat more chicken than us. He wants some fried chicken. He ain't coming to you. He gonna wait till he get off work and he gonna go to a Chinese store, because he can't afford for you to take $1 that a Chinese person might need. Because in their community, their fellow citizens are members of their extended family. Our family stops with our blood relatives. And sometimes they don't even go to our blood relatives. It might just extend to our kids. And we might say, to hell with my brothers and sisters, my nieces, my nephews, my cousins. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah,
we don't have an extended family frame of identity.
Charleston White said this. You know what that is?
Yeah.
All right. So I actually interviewed him last week.
Okay.
And he said something in a previous interview. He said, when we desegregated, we rushed to go eat spaghetti at their restaurants. We rushed to go everywhere where they were. But they didn't rush to come to eat our stuff. They didn't rush to come buy our stuff. So he's saying, like, desegregation put us in the mindset, just like you said, their ice is better, their this is better.
Well, the mindset was there before the desegregation. The reason why segregation worked for Black America, the reason why you had a Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Charleston, Rosewood, Wilmington, Durham, and all these other places, is because white people did not allow you access to their society. If you didn't grow your own food, you're not going to eat. If you don't build your own supermarket, you're not going to have no groceries. If you don't open up your own hotel, you're going to sleep on the street. Do you feel me? Do you know that before the Civil Rights Bill or Act, if you got caught in a city that didn't have a Black hotel, do you know where many of us slept at? We slept in the funeral homes. Black people used to sleep. Imagine that. Imagine that, no matter how much money you got. Because white supremacy ain't about money. They could care less. That's another thing we need to understand. But you and your beautiful wife will be sleeping in a Black-owned funeral home next to dead bodies because no white person will let you there. Why am I bringing this up? The reason Black Wall Street worked is because white people denied us access. The minute they said you can come and be with your master, all the black doctors start working at the black hospitals and start working for the white ones. All the black professors ran from the HBCU and ran to the PWI. All the black lawyers closed up their firm and took a job with the white firms. We couldn't wait to get around white folks. Yes. And then we try to blame Dr. King. And I got to make sure I visit Dr. King's grave because I don't like to come to Atlanta without visiting Dr. King's grave because I believe Dr. King was the last great leader we had to give us a serious program of political, economic, and social reform.
And he from Atlanta.
I love Dr. King.
Trying to say, so we the
He's from Atlanta, but he went to college in Chester, Pennsylvania at the Crozet Theological
And he went to
Seminary.
Morehouse too.
He did. And he came to PA too.
Hey.
And while he was in PA, that's when he met Bill Gray. Dr. King used to hang out up the street from the house I lived in when I went to that Black History class. And he also met Kwame Nkrumah, who was the liberator of Ghana, the first president, who used to hang out up the street from where I was. And Harriet Tubman used to take Ridge Avenue during the Underground Railroad, which is right up the street from where I lived at as well. So I'm saying I had all that ancestor power right there in the hood. You have no idea of what ancestors came before you right where you sleep at. Black people don't even know what happened in that ghetto they living in 200 years ago. You feel me?
Facts.
But let me close with this point on the Dr. King situation. Black people try to make Dr. King a scapegoat for why we don't have any systems and infrastructure and institutions because we don't want to admit we love white people and we think their ice is still colder. We believe white ice is colder. We still do.
Your generation does. My generation does.
I disagree.
Let me explain why.
I disagree.
Y'all
spend more money with white folks than we.
Whoa. Time out. Let me explain. No. Let me explain why.
You young conspicuous consumers. Are you great?
I'm 90s. That's 2000 you talking about. So I'm that generation.
Okay.
So let me explain what, and I want to ask you your point on this. So social media, I brought this up to somebody. I said, social media is actually doing good for Black people. Let me explain. Hold on, time out. Hear me out. For one, algorithm is pushing Black on you because Mark Zuckerberg is a businessman. So hear me out. If I'm a businessman and the whole goal is to get people to stay on this app, if you're Black, if you go to your search bar, all you're gonna see is either big booty women, Black women, because you're Black. He wants to get your attention. Okay. Right? Black people are now socializing and watching and staying in tune with Black people more than anything else, to the point where, look how all of us wear our hair now. Black boys no longer get texturizers. They no longer everybody's wearing their hair natural.
I see that, but what context are we engaging each other? Because when you go down your IG feed, it's all degenerate behavior mostly. Your Facebook feed, it's booty shaking and what celebrity went to jail, who got shot, who took whose girl, who just got booked, who snitched. My biggest disappointment with Black America, intergenerationally, because we all guilty, my biggest disappointment with Black people in social media, for a long time, we were not allowed to tell our own story. Now, you mean to tell me you can tell your own story, your own media platform, on multiple platforms, and we ain't talking about nothing serious? I can't tell you the last time I seen a serious conversation on social media.
That's why I created
or
this.
YouTube. Yes, this is progressive. A lot of the podcasts don't be progressive.
They talking about who snitched, who died, who beefing, who this, who that.
And some of them will talk about it. I saw one podcast, they went live for 12 hours talking about bullshit. How the hell you start at 8 at night and don't get off till 8 in the morning, and they had 1,000 people tuned into this crap? You ain't talking about no schools. You ain't talking about fighting against racism. You ain't talking about no opportunities. You ain't talking about the migrant takeover. You ain't talking about the next wave of COVID. All you talking about is he say and she say. I'm disappointed in us, brother. We are at war. They're trying to get rid of us.
I guess from my perspective, I am being selfish. I'm looking at it of a point of, I don't look at that. I only look at the good. I only follow and participate, but I don't think you understand how big that crowd is.
No, I know the size. But they involved in the wrong stuff.
No. I'm talking about the size of people who actually are on the black people are on the positive wave, who only follow financial literacy. It's so many of them because I met them. I'm in the movement.
I agree with that.
Like
I agree with that.
I feel like that movement gets a lot of praise, but the movement with that's what we're doing doesn't get any. Nobody
and I
knows
commend what y'all doing, but here's my constructive criticism and call to action for y'all.
Right.
1 million black youth getting money is not improving the overall progress of the black community.
Right.
When are y'all going to consolidate, collaborate, systematize what y'all doing, create some infrastructure and build some institutions so we have some permanent programs out here intergenerationally that our children are going to benefit from?
That's exactly what I'm trying to do.
Because just getting money, the rappers been getting money for 50 years.
We need. It's the institutions.
When are y'all going to build them?
That's what I'm trying.
I feel you.
I'm trying. I'm putting up my own money.
Right, but I don't want you doing it by yourself.
I have to.
Let me tell you why we can't do it alone.
I have to. Let me explain why I have to do it alone.
But that's individualism. Don't get me wrong. You got to do it alone till you get to a certain
I have the
point.
money to do it alone, though. That's the good thing.
Which is good. But here's why we can't do it alone. Because when we die, and we will.
No, I can't do it alone, but I have to do it.
But follow what I'm saying. When we die, and we all will, our people got to go back to ground zero and start all over from A again. That's why you got to have institutions to carry on the work, because it's no longer about the cult of personality. As long as it's just you, it's the cult of personality. As long as it's just me, it's the cult of personality. Now I have a team, but once the school get open, we're going to be building schools all over the place, and each school going to have its own school team. So that way, God forbid, whenever the ancestors call Dr. Umar back, FDMG will continue to flourish because it was not a cult of personality. Yes, it has to be you alone. But once you get to a certain point, you got to consolidate that.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Look at how gangster rappers or hip hop artists, period. Look at all the money they got. But they're never going to consolidate. You know what that means? The black community is never going to benefit or maximize from the wealth because they won't come together because they're too busy competing with each other. How did the Asians take over the black hair care industry? You know how the Koreans took it? Because the sisters doing hair was too busy what? Competing for customers. The brothers with the barbershops were too busy what? Competing for who got the best shape up instead of consolidating. And so the Koreans came to them and said, oh, all this money, none of them working together. Guess what we're going to do? We're going to take over all the supplies. And now it's a what? Multi-billion-dollar business because black folks don't want to work together.
For sure.
If you don't work together, you always give an opportunity for the enemy to come in between.
You know what's so crazy? Black women do nails, right? Mm-hmm. But you know what they tell other black women?
What?
We don't do feet.
I didn't know that.
Yes, like all the black nail techs,
wow,
they don't do feet.
Not humble enough to serve their own people.
They said
humble enough.
Some of them said it's nasty, and some of them said it takes too long to do both nails and feet, and I can just get a bunch of women out of there just doing their nails. But I said, what you're doing is they're doing something you're not.
Which means what? You just gave them control over the entire foot market. They just monopolized the entire market on feet because your lazy, selfish ass isn't humble enough to serve another sister who looks just like you. But let the white woman come in there. They probably eat their toe jam and everything.
That shit, it really rubbed me wrong.
Kiss they boogies.
When I figured out most black nail techs who are independent, the ones we posting that they do people nails, don't do toes.
Look at that.
That's crazy.
But listen, history always repeats itself. Guess when we made that same mistake? During desegregation. Up until deseg, we were mostly what? Farmers and laborers, plumbers, mechanics, architects. And once the white man said you could come get an education at our university, guess what we did? I ain't gonna be no electrician no more working with my hands. I want to get me a desk job. I don't want to be no plumbing no more. I don't want to be no farmer no more. I want to get me a desk job. And by making that decision, just like them sisters to not do feet, we made a decision to no longer work with our hands. We want a desk job with a white suit and a tie. We gave every other community a monopoly on the industrial building trades that they keep in a headlock right now. I was told by a school reform commissioner officer in Philadelphia, we're the 6th largest public school district. You know what she told me? She said, Dr. Umar, you're absolutely right. The industrial building trades are the way to save our children. So why are not putting them back in the high school? Guess what she told me? The white labor unions do not want the building trades back in the black high schools. And do you want to know why? As long as the trades are not back in high school, they have a monopoly on who gets training and who gets work. Simple, silly decisions like that, sabotaging our economic growth as a people.
Everything. Even there is actually a black-owned hair store that I went to that I go and get hair products for. And it's in North Atlanta out of all places. I'm like, why is it?
And we need to support that store.
I do. I go and get my shea butter, my this, my that,
and
my
that's a
coconut
good
oil.
intervention. But you know what the solution is? For black women to not feel they got to straighten or perm their hair again.
Yes,
anyway.
yes.
Promote black beauty. Every black. First thing we got to do is stop bunny hopping, leaving the snow bunnies alone. Second thing we got to do is motivate our sisters to go natural, because until black women go natural en masse as a group, black girls are going to always feel insecure about their natural beauty.
So can I ask you something too? If there is a young guy out there who wants to be exactly like Umar Johnson, but I'm pretty sure you're going to say be better than me. Absolutely. As a response. But
absolutely, be better.
What would the steps he would have to take if he feels like, I do black studies, I have a conscious voice? How can they become as popular as you and monetize themselves like you did? What would be your advice to him?
The monetization came by accident and necessity. Because when I first started public speaking, I did not charge for the first 10 years. Mm-hmm. And guess what? I haven't charged for an event since COVID. So I ain't charged for the first 10 years, and I ain't charged for the past 4 years. Most people don't know that. But getting back to your point, all great black leaders did 3 things. They study. I don't go nowhere without books. They struggle. What are you doing to help your people? And they disseminate information. They educated their people. You must study to be intelligent. You must fight to improve our conditions, and you must educate our people to bring them along with you. Those are the first 3 things. And on top of that, we must judge ourselves by what I call the 5 C's. Courage. How much guts do you have to stand face to face with white folks and tell them the truth about what they're doing to your people? Without courage, you can't do nothing else. Maya Angelou said courage is the most important of all virtues, because without it, you can't do no other virtue. Commitment. How committed are you to black liberation and independence? Or the minute the white man threatened you, you out. Dr. King's house was bombed twice with his wife and kids in it, and he still ain't quit. They bombed Malcolm's house the week before he died. He still didn't quit. They broke Frederick Douglass' hand and almost killed him 1,000,000 times at them anti-slavery rallies. He still didn't give up. Commitment. Consistency. Are you still standing on your same political square today as you did 10 years ago? Or did you start getting soft? Did you start compromising? You can look at my message today, look at my message 5 years ago, look at my message 15 years ago. I never compromise. You must be consistent, because without consistency, people can't what? Trust you. Courage, commitment, consistency, creativity. What are you building for the people? Create. We are man. What's the root word? Man is the root word of manifest. God put us on earth to bring forth opportunity for our people. Creativity, consciousness. You must be intelligent and understand the world we live in.
Okay. So how are you able to monetize yourself? Like, what are your streams of income right now as we speak?
Well, remember, I'm a certified school psychologist by trade. Mm-hmm. So my bread and butter is evaluations. I evaluate children for special education, disability placement. That's my bread and butter.
And you get that money from the people school districts?
Sometimes independent parents, but mostly school districts. Yeah, that's still the bread and butter.
So that's your bread and butter, and that's it?
Yeah. I mean, occasionally I charge for my appearances and things like that. Interviews, that kind of thing. But school psychology is still the profession.
Okay. So interviews, school psychology. I'm saying this because
it's mostly from the profession.
I know, but I'm not saying it because I get what the perspective you coming from. Like, I'm saying it because I have a financial literacy thing, and people want to know, like, how are people making money? So you don't have to say how much. They just want to know, how do you make your money? You don't have to say how much. You get what I'm saying?
I see what you said. Mine is mostly
like, what are how many streams of income
I'm not as diversified as you.
I know, but how many streams of income do you have, and could you name them all?
Profession, public appearances, and products. Mostly my books.
So 3 streams of income. Okay.
Well,
And that's important because people, at the end of the day, someone said, if you don't make money from what you love to do, you'll burn yourself out. So I think I do believe you have to start off doing it for the love and then somehow to come to you as a passion where you can monetize it. But I do believe you should monetize in some way what you do because that also incentivizes you to keep doing it.
I agree with that, but I want to balance it out by adding a small caveat that says, earn all you must, monetize all you want, get all the money you can get in this world, because the future is not guaranteed for your grandchildren's grandchildren. But make sure there's something you keep sacred that you always do for free. So let me give you an example, right? I do a lot of things for free, but I keep it confidential because I believe that you don't get your blessings from above if you're going to brag about what you're giving back. You feel me? And plus, the nature of my business is mental health, and that got to be confidential anyway, because I can't be out here putting people's business out just so people know I'm serving the people at no cost in a lot of what I do, right? But spiritually, you must have something in your life that you give away at no cost. Like how you said you do the free Sunday class or something you do.
Exactly.
That's how you keep your spirit clean, because the spirit functions off of charity. And any person that doesn't have something they do for free at no cost is a person with a heavy heart. To keep the energy around you good, you must always recycle it by giving back.
But you also said, I do that. I give back a lot and I do things for free. But you said we got to be more intentional about becoming or getting more money.
That's
so
true.
I believe if we're going to be intentional, then everybody has to practice being intentional, including you.
I agree with that.
You
I
get what I'm
totally
saying?
agree. But I would also add to that, your charity will drive your commerce.
For sure.
In other
It
words,
will.
when I look at all the people who donated to the school, these were the people I helped when they had nothing. These were the people who needed a consult to save their child when they couldn't pay the consultation fee. You see what I'm saying? And guess what? It's a part of business anyway. Although as Black people, we should be doing it for a spiritual reason. But you see white folks do it all the time. The frequent shopper program. You see what I'm saying? You spend $100, you're going to get a stamp every time you spend. And once you get 20 stamps, you get $100 shop. You know what I mean?
You know what's
that
crazy?
Reciprocity. Now, they're doing it purely for economic reasons, but we should be doing it for reasons of community and spirituality.
You know what's crazy? I've been giving away a free play, stock play, every Sunday for the last 5 years, since 2019. And I was doing it for free. And I'm still doing it for free. It's still free. It's every Sunday. And now this thing became I wasn't making no money from this. I'm just doing it every Sunday. I'm already a millionaire. But I committed to you to give you a free play every Sunday. So I'm gonna continue to do that. Now this thing is the driving force to my business.
See that? You got your blessing.
I don't have an ego of why am I not known or why am I not this? Because I'm getting blessed on the back
And
end.
that comes. And we should never strive for that. Let that come. Like for me, it just came. I didn't look for it. It caught me off guard. Let it come. Don't let that drive you, because we are here to serve in the world. We're not here to serve the world. Got to be careful that you're making sure you're serving the people and not the world.
I agree with you. I thought I was the only one who thought financial liberation is how we solve the Black people. Everyone was talking about, who do we vote for? That's going to solve us. Who do we, what you got to do is, it starts with the mayor. He got to blah, blah, blah. Then you got to go to your local councilman. And I was like, if these young boys don't learn how to get some money, they going to still rob. They going to still
rob. That's right.
And
putting more police on the street does not reduce crime.
And people don't understand how much money it takes to build institutions. Like,
the money ain't our obstacle, though. We got the money. The problem is we don't have the commitment. I look at what I went through over these past 5 years of building FDMG, or these past 10 years of fundraising, because it was 5 years of fundraising and 5 years of renovating, right?
Right.
And I said there was times where I'm like, wow, am I really supposed to be doing this? Because this shit is hard, man. People sabotaging you. The Black contractors won't even do the work you paying them, you know?
You were getting like YouTube videos about you.
Yeah, and they still do. People who ain't built shit for black people. But the point that I'm making is to build an institution takes commitment, and it takes prolonged commitment and consistency. And a lot of us don't have that for one another. That's why we got a million single hustles and no mega movements in the community.
I also think we're 2020. I was doing stocks way before 2020, 3 years prior. 2020 is when everybody had a chance. You know what? Let me ask you that. Speaking of 2020, what do you think the effects of black people are prior to 2020? What did the pandemic have an effect on us as?
The pandemic, well, number one, it reminded black people that nobody's going to save us if we don't save ourselves. It gave black people a taste of reality in the scariest form, because we went to supermarkets and there was no food on the shelves. We went to hospitals and there was no beds. And we saw COVID. The only good thing about that emergency was it showed black people how much we will suffer if we don't get our act together by not having any infrastructure. We suffered heavily because we didn't have any infrastructure. Half our elders who died in the white hospitals died because there was no black hospitals to take care of them. White hospitals were literally killing our elders because the government was giving them money for the amount of dead they had based on COVID. So they were killing people and blaming it on COVID to get the money. I did, seminars on this at that time, but the COVID crisis really showed black people how if you ain't got no infrastructure, you won't survive this century. Asians were able to take care of their people. Jews was able to take care of their people. They had food put away, they had water put away, they had emergency shelters. We had none of that. It was every black person for themselves. The world we live in can only be survived by ethnic and racial groups who stick together. As long as black people continue this radical, dysfunctional, individualistic attitude that we have, we're going to lose, brother. We're going to lose big. The community is the solution.
I wanted to say this too. I went to Africa last year, so now we're
Where did you
African. Ghana, Accra, Ghana. And I learned a statistic that really shocked me was African countries need visas, passports nearly, to go visit other African countries.
Yes.
And
it's changing a little bit.
It is. And it's
they have a regional passport, I believe, in some areas, and now they're working on a continental wide passport that if you live in Africa, you can fly anywhere.
You just said
free.
now, though, it's 2024.
Right, well, you know why that was done, though.
Why?
That was done by the white colonialists. When he left those divisions up there because Africans collaborating with each other across the continent undermined his continued control and domination of the resources. The white man did that. Same reason why if you visit you can be in one Caribbean country and you need to fly to the next Caribbean country. You might got to fly back to America to get to that country. You might got to fly to Europe to get to that country because the white man never wanted to exit himself as the middleman to maintain control. Divide and conquer, separate and rule.
I get that, but at the end of the day, what if some of us question how could we allow colonialism? Because I believe you said this point. You said the reason why Asians, now you said this, I watch a lot of your interviews. You said the reason why Asians are protected is because they have a homeland to call to. Remember you said that? You said the reason why Indians are protected, Arabs are protected because we got to do business with them. You get what I'm trying to say?
Saxons
so
got England.
What I'm trying to say is the liberation of black people as a whole too has to somehow start with Africa in order to liberate us.
It must include Africa.
You get what I'm saying?
It doesn't have to start with Africa. And the reason why I'm saying that.
It don't have to start, but
right. It got to include it.
If they become financially empowered, that builds our respect around the world. Would you
absolutely
agree?
Oh, completely. And we need to use our financial empowerment to help empower the continent.
No, hear me out. Let me say why I say no to that. I met some of the richest Africans. I'm in a penthouse like we in. Mm-hmm. It was the Prince of Liberia in there. It was the Prince of Ghana. It was the Prince of this and that. They got more money than me. I got millions.
Understood.
They got more money than us.
Some of them have more money than us.
No, they have more money than us.
No. Continent-wide, yes. Not country per country.
The top 10 black billionaires, 5 of them are African.
Right, but here's what you're missing. A lot of them, just like our black billionaires,
Right.
are selfish and they're not
Of
matriculated.
course.
You understand me? So they're not a part of the solution until they start to divest themselves of some of that wealth and put it into the people.
I get that.
Remember now, when we talk Pan-Africanism or African liberation, even if
Mhm.
you're not a Pan-Africanist, we're talking about a grassroots movement.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying? We want the billionaires to join us. And if they do, great. So much more easier this work will become.
Well, they said
But
because
a
of
lot
the corruption in Nigeria, that's why it can't flourish, and the corruption of the leaders in Africa
Yes.
is why it can't flourish. But what I'm saying
And this is why I'm saying it might got to start with us.
Why?
Because we are not necessarily under the same type of constraint. In other words, we got to take our free wealth to Africa and invest to empower the people at the bottom. Africa inherited the classist mentality of the colonizer. So did we here. So a lot of us, once we start getting it like that, we are not interested in going back to rescue the people at the bottom.
Can I caveat out that though? You
Sure.
say, okay, we got to use our Black American dollars to empower Africa. But if we're not in control of their governance, because you got to think, if I'm trying to buy real estate over Africa, there's laws in place to this. Unless they give us political power, there's no reason for us to go over there and invest.
I disagree.
Why not?
And I'm going to tell you why. A lot of African countries are not going to give American Africans or any of us from the diaspora political power.
So how can we help them?
You don't need political power to help if you're genuine about your help.
They have
Let me give you an example.
Though.
I'm coming to Atlanta to help the poor brothers in Buckhead. But I say, in order for me to help these brothers out, I need political power in Buckhead. If you're genuine about what you're doing, why do you need political power? We don't need political power to help Africa. We don't. You need influence. I have influence. I don't need political power.
Okay, so we go
unless
over there,
I'm not understanding your definition of political power.
Meaning
because
like
now it looks like opportunism. If you go in there saying I need political power in order to help my brothers and sisters on the continent, it looks like opportunism.
If we're going to give them billions and billions of dollars, yes, we need to control how your schools is ran. We need to control how this is ran.
We don't need to control it. We need to have influence and input. We don't need to control it. Remember something. Something.
Go ahead.
Liberia.
Right.
Do you remember what happened there? When the Americo-Liberians came back to Liberia from America following slavery, we went over there to build a new opportunity for ourselves. And guess what we did? We failed to realize that the white man's mentality was operating in our subconscious. And we went to Liberia and thought we were better than our brothers and sisters who were already there. And do you know what that led to? A war between American Liberians and Native Liberians that lasted almost 100 years and is still going on to this day. So we got to be very careful about going to Africa looking for political power until we've proven to our brothers and sisters over there that we are there for the right reasons. Because who is to say the CIA didn't put a battery in your back? Stay with me.
Yeah.
Or the Council on Foreign Relations didn't put a battery on my back and sent me to Nigeria, sent me to Namibia, sent me to Gabon to go over there, weave my way into the trust of African people to only exploit and misdirect them to give the white man a hand of control back in that soil. They got to be careful with us.
No, they
because
do
we
gotta
sold
be
them
careful.
short before. We sold them short before.
And they sold us over here.
Well, some of them sold us. Only a few kingdoms participated in the transatlantic slave trade. The transatlantic slave trade was not an African industry. It was built by the white man, managed by the white man, benefited by the white man. It was only ended until the white man decided to end it.
So
that's just like saying, we're in the streets of Atlanta selling drugs to each other. Yeah, you do got black men in Atlanta selling drugs to each other. But are they floating it to America? Are they the ones distributing it in America? Are they the ones protecting themselves from giving it out? The black man selling dope on the streets of America is a slave in the drug trade. He has no power whatsoever.
You're right. He's middlemaning. But like I said, I still believe those leaders must come together. For one, open up the entire continent like Europe is. Or like the United States, even though it's a country.
You get what I'm saying? When you say open it up?
Open it up. Meaning like Europe.
To what?
The countries can all visit each other.
Oh, yeah, they pretty much did.
Open it up, meaning but they haven't fully. It's only a few. It's like how many countries?
No, they're about to do African Union working on a continent-wide passport. If you live on the continent and you're a citizen, you can go anywhere. And of course, ECOWAS, I believe they already have their own passport. It's regional. And it's about to be continental.
When I was in Ghana, I would ask other Ghanaians on purpose. And I'll tell you what I asked Greek people on purpose. Because I've been to Greece too. So I went to Ghana and I asked them, have you ever been to Nigeria? Have you ever been to other places? And they was like, no. And I was like, why? They was like, I want to go to Europe. I want to go to New York. You're right. Even they have that mentality.
Oh, for sure.
They don't
Most
want to.
African-
They don't want to visit other African countries because they say we're alike. There's no point in seeing them.
Well, remember,
It's the same country.
Remember now.
Culture, they say.
You're right, but we got to keep in mind, Africa didn't get its independence until when? 1957 with Ghana. South Africa didn't get their independence until the 90s.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we got out of slavery 150 something years ago. They just got out of colonization 70 years ago. My point is, we should not expect them to be thinking like free-born Africans only 70 years out of colonization, because we over 100 years out of slavery and we still think like plantation Negroes. You see what I'm saying? You have to give time for the consciousness to catch up.
I do believe
But
it'll catch up.
It's slow. And you know why it's slow? Because in Africa, just like in America, just like in Europe, most black kids are taught on whose curriculum? White man's.
Mm-hmm.
I've spoken in the schools in Africa, white man. I've spoken in the schools in Europe, white man. In America, white man. What I say before, we want proximity to whiteness. And that's why most successful black people send their kids to white schools. Why? Because if my child is successful, they're going to be living in a white suburb. We ain't thinking about no black liberation.
I also, too, think some people think about conditions, too.
What you mean?
Like, I live in, like, all my neighbors are white. I lived in an all-black mansion neighborhood, but the reason why I moved from that was not because I had black neighbors. It was negligence on myself. I told you, I bought the old house of Jason Jeter, Young Dro, all the celebrities lived in my house. I lived in a premier house. But what I was doing was posting a picture for one of my house and filming content with my house because I'm so excited to be a 23-year-old with a mansion.
Yes, sir.
Right? And then I'm camouflaging my cars. I'm doing all types of young, hot shit. So that was on me. I had to move because of my negligence. And I would have stayed there. I wish I would have stayed. And I also had to move because the city of Atlanta, I forgot what it's called when they pay you to take care of. They gave me $45,000 because they said they're taking a piece of my land.
Eminent domain.
Eminent domain. That's exactly what they said they're doing. So they paid me $45,000 to take. So I said, look, I even pleaded with the city of South Fulton. I was like, hey, I'm a prominent black person. What do I have to pay to not let this happen to my land? I don't want the $45K. I can't let this gate, because I had a back gate. I live in a gated community. Mm-hmm. They're gonna take my gate for a year. Mm. You get what I'm saying? So I said, look, I'm way too influential to not have a gate on the south side of Atlanta. People could literally come and, you get what I'm saying? Like, I was throwing parties at my house. I'm doing all types of young, stupid stuff. Now, I have a mansion in Alpharetta. I don't tell people where I live. Mm-hmm. I don't tell people, you know what I'm saying? Like, and like I said, but I still gonna build on the south side of Atlanta.
Here's my reaction to brothers and sisters who share that information with me. Mm-hmm. If you got to step away for a minute to protect your interests and protect your family, so be it. Mm-hmm. But you need to be helping to transform the ghetto into the community that your family will be safe.
That's what it was about. I had to move away, and I was also getting threats. We know where you live, like haters, because I'm from the south side of Atlanta.
I got you. So
I couldn't risk, okay, if I'm out of town, I came from the military, so I'm on some stuff like, if I was by myself, so be it, bring it on. I got my wife and kids here when I leave and go. How you got to go out of town to go get some business done? I got to do that sometimes. Can't have them home while I do this. So now I got to go live by white folks when I was just around black people because of stuff like that. You get what I'm trying to say? So it'd be deeper than what people think it is. People who lived around black communities and I was doing a lot down there, but I'm getting threats. I'm getting this, I'm getting that. You get what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
So I had to move away.
And not to speak of you individually, because it's not about you per se.
Right.
But my only caveat, only pushback, not to you though, but to young black successful people in your position, we have to make sure that when we are living amongst the masses, when we are successful, that we're doing it in a way that does not earn the envy of those who have less. Sometimes we can tend to be too flashy,
I was flashy,
too elitist, too standoffish, too snobby to such a point that it earns the envy and the motivation.
I took accountability on that for sure. Like,
because you got to remember,
I don't show nothing no more. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
100 years ago, you had to live in the ghetto no matter what. Muhammad Ali, Jack Johnson, Jesse Owens, Joe Louis, these people lived in the ghetto because white people didn't let them live with them. So my thing is, if we were able to survive it then, we should be able to survive it now. One of the differences between now and then is back then, the successful Black person still had the same mentality of those on the grassroots level. And today, a lot of our young, successful brothers and sisters tend to adopt an elitist, arrogant mentality towards their brothers and sisters who have less. So we got to make sure we moving right.
That's true.
You know, I'm not no millionaire or anything like that, but I feel safe wherever I go. Don't get me wrong. I still need to have security at my events, but when I'm moving solo, I feel safe anywhere. Like I'll walk into a project and feel safe.
Same here.
You see what I'm saying? Because we got to make sure we moving in such a way that we underscore community unity.
It wasn't me.
As opposed to emphasizing our financial differences.
Yeah, like it's not. You probably received threats before. It's online.
For sure. I get them all the time.
Yeah, like it's online stuff that we don't even be caring about. You know, I don't.
The next white boy who sent me a picture of his naked ass, uncooked snow bunny's flesh, I'ma find his ass.
Whoa.
They be sending me pictures of they women with no clothes on. Why you sending your, you know what I mean, with the death threat? You know, I don't want to see her. That's uncooked meat. I don't do uncooked meat. I like my meat nice and what they say, pan-seared. I need you to brown and bake that flesh. 5 extra thick in the thighs.
I fuck with it. So, did you ever change your name?
My father changed my name. I was born Jermaine Shoemake. I still use the name occasionally. I'm still known by the name by a lot of people who knew me as a child. My father changed it to Umar Johnson around the time my parents married. And I was given my African name through divination at the Oyotunji African Village in South Carolina on November the 19th of 2011.
My family's Geechee. They from Florence, South Carolina.
Get out of here. I was in Savannah. I spoke there.
I was stationed there for 6 years.
Yep. I spoke in Savannah, and I took a good sister from that area, took me on a tour. Sister Dana, peace and love. Shout out to Sister Dana in Savannah. She took me on a tour, and I got to see the Igbo landing where the Nigerians got off the boat, said, I'm not going to be a slave, and they walked right back into the water and gave their life. They got off the slave ship, turned around, the chief led them, man, woman, and child, and they walked right back into the water and drowned themselves rather than be a slave. That was the inspiration for Killmonger in Black Panther. Remember at the scene when he died?
And it was in Savannah?
Savannah, Georgia. Igbo land. Near Savannah.
That's when me and my wife got married.
Remember in Black Panther, the scene where Killmonger dies and he says, throw me into the ocean so I can be with my ancestors because I'd rather be free than be a slave or something.
Right.
That was the Igbo landing. Yeah, and there's no market there either. But people know where it is.
There's no market. I'm surprised. I've been in Savannah 6 years.
White folks don't care, but you know what they'll do? They'll build an Igbo landing visiting center in 10 years and charge you $100 to get a tour from a white man. Whatever history of ours that we don't protect, white people will exploit it and monetize it. I go to Nat Turner land every year, right? I was born on Nat Turner's birthday, Virginia, Druryville, Virginia. Nat Turner led the most successful slave revolt in American history. He ultimately was assassinated.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you know the white folks found one of the houses where Nat Turner murdered some of the whites? And from what I hear, there's talk of turning that house into a museum. Would you ever think in a million years, white people would take Nat Turner's legacy and try to monetize that? But that's what they're trying to do. And they're able to do this all across America because we as Black people don't value our history. We don't try to hold on to the properties that are sacred to our experience in this country. Most Black historical locations are under the control of private white citizens or the U.S. Park Service. Frederick Douglass House, U.S. Park Service. Denmark Vesey House, private white citizens. The only piece of black architect that I know is still owned by black folks, Harriet Tubman's home in Auburn, New York. That's still under the control of the AMEZ Church. Outside of the Harriet Tubman home, Carter G. Woodson House, Park Service. Mary McLeod Bethune House, Park Service. The Audubon Ballroom where Malcolm was murdered, that might be black. I don't know.
I wonder who owns King House. His family?
Park Service. I think the family might have it. I think it's Park Service.
I gotta do
the Park
research
Service
on
got
that.
the King House.
I gotta do research on that.
We don't own none. They take everything.
A girl
from us
tried to
'cause we
set
don't
it on
control-
fire like 2 months ago. You seen that?
I would not be surprised if she was an MK Ultra experiment. You know what MK Ultra is? CIA. They've been doing mind control experimentation since the 1940s. They basically want to engineer people to kill without any remorse or compassion for their victims. I believe she was an MK Ultra.
You saw that?
I saw her, and
Yeah.
I don't see no black person just walking up to the King House trying to burn it down. I believe that was a test case. Because remember, 1 block away from where that girl tried to burn down the King House, what happened? Dr. King's mother was shot to death in their church, Ebenezer Baptist Church. Remember, Dr. King's mother was murdered in the church. A so-called Hebrew Israelite, and I'm saying that because I'm sure my Hebrew Israelite brothers and sisters wouldn't consider that person one of their own. But a so-called Hebrew Israelite brother got on the bus from somewhere in the Midwest, took a Greyhound all the way to Atlanta, Georgia, went into the King Church on service day and shot and murdered Mama King right there in the church. And so here goes this girl a block away at the King residence, and she trying to burn the King house down. I think this is MK Ultra. And remember, they also murdered Dr. King's younger brother. They found him dead in the swimming pool, even though he was a master swimmer. 2 families that suffered so much is Malcolm's family and King's family. Malcolm was murdered. Malcolm's grandson was murdered. Malcolm's daddy was murdered, doing work for the Honorable Marcus Garvey. Malcolm's mother was put into that insane asylum in Kalamazoo, where I spoke at Western Michigan University last month. I believe Malcolm's grandfather might have been murdered. I just look at what Malcolm's family been through. Then you go to Dr. King. Dr. King was murdered. His mama was murdered. His brother was murdered. What I tell people all the time, what we're trying to do, this freedom struggle, African liberation, and I do believe you're leaning towards trying to help your people, so I would include you, in that conversation. This is not a work that people celebrate when you're in it. You follow what I'm saying? And this is what, like going back to the conversation about me not having a wife. Women don't understand. Don't marry me because of my degrees and my prominence. I can go to jail tomorrow. I can be assassinated tomorrow. You see what I'm saying? So it can't be based on that. It got to be something more than that, because this is a struggle. You sacrificing this. You don't get. Put the celebrity down and pick up the activist. I tell people I'm a Pan-Africanist, psychologist, activist. Stop the celebrity shit. This is real life what I'm doing here. You know what I mean? And I don't think a lot of people realize this, man. Look at Bob Marley. They gave him cancer in his toe. Died at 36. Patrice Lumumba. I'm looking at that green chair because Patrice Lumumba used to sit in the green chair. Patrice Lumumba assassinated at the age of 36. They cut his body up into little teeny pieces. Kwame Nkrumah overthrown. They probably gave him cancer.
Black Panther,
Amilcar
Huey P.
Cabral killed
Newton.
him. Walter Roddy killed him. Maurice Bishop killed him. George Jackson killed him. Huey Newton killed him. Fred Hampton killed him. Look what they did. So I tell people, don't get in this unless you're really in this, because if you are not serious about this, they will turn you into a coward. I can't tell you how many black leaders I grew up respecting, only to see that they have been turned into cowards because they was afraid to suffer the consequences that the white power structure was willing to dish out. Remember, whenever you stand up to fight against any oppressor, I don't care what color you are, you better be willing to take the pain they're going to give you. You don't win until you took the pain. When Dr. King had his house blown up twice and got arrested all them times, he took the pain. You got to have endurance.
So how could somebody...
Endurance precedes victory.
So what you're saying is, if you as a black man try to help black people, you are
putting
in trouble.
An X on your chest, and you better do it proudly, without no misgivings or no reservations. If there's anything in you that is not 100% committed to the people, the white man will find it and he will exploit it. You can't be afraid of death. You can't be afraid of jail. You can't be afraid of poverty. You can't be afraid of having your reputation destroyed. It must be for the people. If you're not living for the people, get out of it, because the white man is the master psychologist. Why you think so many of our leaders got turned into sellouts, man? White man said, okay, he talking that black talk. Let me see what happened when I take that Benz. He talking that black talk. Let me see what happened when I turn him broke. He talking that black talk. Let me see what happened when the KKK pull up on him and pull the shotgun out.
So what if you are a business owner and you're independently empowering people? Like, okay, so you're saying there's really no, so in that case, you're in danger, correct? For what you're saying.
I'm probably the most unapologetically black man in the United States, without question.
But you don't walk around with fear.
You can't. You have to discipline yourself. We're all human, right? Fear is a natural human emotion. I get death threats all the time from Caucasians and black folks. I was sitting in the audience in Cleveland, Ohio, about to go on the stage. I got a text message. We in the audience. If you come out here, we're going to blow your fucking brains out. I told my security, the police came. They had to check people and everything, right? I was going to go out there, though. I said, I'm going. They said, you can't go out there, Doc. I said, I'm going. I refuse to be afraid. Damn that.
Yeah, the iron? You got the iron on you, though?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. I was about to say, hey, that's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but
yeah.
That don't really matter with me, though, because when I'm giving my speech, I'm so into my message, I'm not even going to see you coming. You see what I'm saying? People come to my speech and say, I was sitting right in front of you. You didn't see me. Of course I didn't see you. I'm here to deliver a message to the people. I'm not looking at y'all. I'm trying to give out the wisdom that the ancestors put in my head to give to you. I don't see nothing when I'm talking. I don't see you till it's up. You can be sitting there the whole time. Oh, shit. That's Aristotle. I didn't even see you, man, because I was so into my message. You know what I'm saying? See, my thing is when you know your purpose, it don't matter. Dr. King knew that was his purpose. Malcolm knew. Garvey knew. Douglas knew. Nat Turner knew. Gabriel Prosser, Denmark Vesey, they knew. Fred Hampton, George Jackson, Medgar Evers, our Prentice Bunchy Carter, John Huggins, they knew. I was sent here to do this. My favorite quote from Nat Turner Confessions. Nat Turner said, and the Spirit appeared to me and said, I'm trying to remember exactly. The Spirit appeared to me and said, such is your luck. Such you shall do. And whether it comes rough or whether it comes smooth, you shall surely bear it. Nat Turner said the Holy Spirit appeared to him and told him that. Such is your luck. Such you are called to do. And whether it come rough or whether it comes smooth, you shall surely bear it. So the Spirit told him, you're going to die. You might lose your homies. They tortured and killed Nat Turner's wife. 2 of his kids snuck out. That's the only reason why Nat Turner got descendants walking the earth right now. You see what I'm saying? But you got to be into it. You can't half step this. And that's why I meditate, because I don't ever want to get like Dr. King and Malcolm, where people threatening you so much, you just ready to die. Not saying that was the case, but when you talk to people who was close to them.
That's what they said.
You feel me? They say they got to a point where they got so exhausted from being threatened, they knew they was going to die.
Yeah, I heard Malcolm say, I'm a dead man walking.
Yeah.
But
they both knew it. But I don't think they were disheartened because of it.
But Malcolm did expose the Nation of Islam on national television. And I saw the interview. You get what I'm saying? So that's the part where I'll have it like King, I can understand assassination. Malcolm, with all due respect to me, brought it on himself. Like from his people. He's literally snitching on it. He's saying Muhammad is having sex with young women, and he literally to the white man snitching on the brotherhood.
First of all, there's nothing Malcolm said
that wasn't true.
Stay with me.
Go ahead.
If it was true.
Right.
If it was true, allegedly, anything Malcolm said that was true, the government already knew it anyway, because they had already thoroughly infiltrated the Nation of Islam and every other black organization. So there's nothing Malcolm said that's bringing the government to an awareness of anything that was happening in Mr. Muhammad's personal life, because they was already wiretapping everybody. They already infiltrated everybody.
Right.
Now, it might have been embarrassing for the world to hear it, but to the government, they knew it before it happened.
No. I'm not saying the white man killed. I'm saying you snitched on your brotherhood. They killed him, in my opinion. He said he was a dead man walking.
It was a collaboration.
Yeah, he said he was a dead man walking.
But here's where I disagree with you. If they were involved,
right?
If they were involved, allegedly, any black man who takes the life of a sincere black leader and and does not replace the work that he was engaged in is a hypocrite. If you're going to take me out, you better build the schools I'm building. You better build the solutions in Africa I'm planning on building. You understand me? Don't you kill me for no ego and jealousy or because I expose your misgivings and you never step up to the plate and do what I was doing. Malcolm was taking the United States government to world court for crimes against African people. Ain't none of them do that.
That's true.
So I don't know. No, and remember, you're talking about people who claim to be leaders themselves. It's complete hypocrisy to take out a leader and you claim to be one yourself.
I agree with you, but what I'm saying
allegedly, because I don't know what
as a man too, you got to be conscious of the danger you bring on yourself. That's all I'm saying too. You get what I'm trying to say? Like, he literally was antagonizing the brotherhood, like literally on national television saying he did it, he did it, he did this. That's all I'm saying.
Wouldn't you say they was wrong on both sides though?
Yeah, for sure. But what I'm saying is
blowing up his house.
Yeah, all that.
Threatening his life,
all
trying to put him on the street when he built your movement. There was wrongdoing on both sides.
Yeah, for sure. But
I just think we need to learn.
You still got to be conscious as a black leader of, because even like Nipsey Hussle.
No black leader should ever be in fear. Black leader should ever be in fear of someone else who claims to be.
But that's not what Tupac say. That's just the way it is. We understand, like even
that
with
ain't the way it is. Yes. I'm not calling nobody no leader. If we are leaders in here, no matter how much jealousy, envy, success, or lack thereof, if we truly claim to be about the best interests of our people, there's no way in hell any of us should be thinking about taking any of the rest of our lives.
You're right.
And if you do, you are a hypocrite.
No
leader kills a leader. No leader kills a leader. Anybody who does that is a hypocrite.
But can we not say that we do have hoods, that we do have people who still on this mentality?
Oh, I agree.
And if we swim and be around these people,
I agree with you.
Then like even with the Nipsey situation, I was like, look, after I went to LA.
He should have never called that man a snitch. But that does not justify him losing his life.
No, it doesn't. But what I'm saying is, even if not that, he's in LA. I'm not saying it's bound to happen, but that is a treacherous place to live. You can't swim around sharks and not expect to get bit one day. That's.
I totally agree with that statement. I totally agree with that.
Can't do that.
But I agree with you. I would just reiterate, no black leader's life.
No, I don't
ever be under threat by anybody who claims to be a sincere leader for black people. They shouldn't order it. They shouldn't condone it. They shouldn't applaud it.
Yeah, that's true.
We just got to learn from it. That's all.
Yeah. And the things I'm learning from even the Malcolm, even the Nip situation is, okay, if I'm going to be a black leader, let me not, for one, antagonize dangerous black people.
That's impossible.
I'm not finna call you out. I'm not finna say nothing about you.
Listen to me. If I am a black leader and you are doing something that is against the best interests of my people, sooner or later there will be conflict if I'm sincere and incorruptible.
Well, I better be ready to take you out too. I better be ready to do what it takes. Listen,
I understand.
There's consequences to saying folks' names and doing this and that.
But here's the question that I got for you. If you're out here doing the work for the people,
right, and
somebody's threatening you because you're doing the work for us, why the hell we sitting around letting you get threatened in the first place?
My folks don't let that happen though.
But hear what I'm saying. For anybody, not you. We're not speaking individualism. I just mean as a matter of policy. If Dr. Umar is out here saving our children, the black community should be stepping to, I shouldn't even have to ask because of what I do. The black community should be stepping to whoever got the problem and they handling that shit.
You're right.
You feel me?
You're right.
Like the way Bumpy Johnson went to Malcolm. Bumpy Johnson went to Malcolm. Bumpy Johnson, King of Harlem, said, listen, bro, you got some smoke. I can end all this. And Malcolm said, leave it alone, Bumpy. I don't want black people killing each other. We should all have a Bumpy Johnson. Malcolm had Bumpy. He called them off. I don't know why, but he called them off. We all need a Bumpy Johnson to say, nah, you're not messing with Dr. Umar, bro. You want to get street? I'm in the streets. We all need somebody in the streets who's willing to protect the life of the brother.
And that's how I feel like the city of Atlanta protects me. Like all the OGs, all of them, like, hey, anybody. Like Atlanta literally is like, hey, you get what I'm saying? So I do respect that about my city. And that's one thing I ultimately respect. But like I said, I want to move in a way that, because I don't feel like I have to get in anybody's business to build my business. You get what I'm saying? I don't have to say anything that he got going on.
But you're not a political leader as
I'm not
yet.
either. No,
You're
I
dealing
won't.
strictly in the economics. But once you become, when I say political, I don't mean elected politics. I mean someone in the community who is influential in making things happen.
I believe all I got to do is teach finance, and that's my role. You get what I'm saying? Like, that's my way of saving black people.
You cannot limit yourself to that at your age because you don't know what your destiny is. And if you are sincere about helping black folks, helping them with the economic is sooner or later going to lead you into other avenues where activism is necessary. You can't just put yourself in a box and say, this is me, and don't ask me, because to some degree, that's cowardice. Because you're saying, I'm not willing to be invited to any other table to make change for my people. That's cowardice. You cannot do that. You cannot put yourself in a box and insulate yourself.
But I'm not a political person.
When you are at war, as we are, there is no such thing as convenience.
Are we at war?
What? 1 out of every 4 black men being murdered. 1 out of 3 under some form of supervision of the criminal justice center. 2/3 of our kids being raised by single moms. The highest black homelessness rate since Dr. King walked the earth. Our percentage in every state incarceration system is at least double our numbers in the society. Are we at war? Half the black men in America are unemployed. Are we at war? Are you crazy? Migrant replacement of blacks in Chicago, Detroit, and everywhere else. Police killing us. White people lynching us. What the hell do you mean, are we at war?
I get what you're saying. So if we at war, the solution to me is not marching.
Do what you have to win it. I might be a psychologist, but guess what? If I got to shovel shit, I got to shovel shit. If I got to learn how to shoot, I got to learn how to shoot. If I got to learn how to plant food, I got to learn how to plant food. We don't have the bougie convenience of picking and choosing what we're going to do when our people are in a state of danger.
All right, I understand that. So
if this building catches on fire, we got to put it out. You can't say I'm the economics man. Don't pass me the bucket of water. Nigga, grab the bucket and throw the water on the fire.
All right, so let me say this. All right. So all I'm saying is you just said the solution to blacks, period, is economical power.
Economic empowerment is the
economic
foundation.
Empowerment, right? So
one of the reasons we have so much disunity is we cannot economically empower each other. As you
right.
said, very few blacks
Thank
work
you.
for blacks.
So,
we have the
so that's my perspective. That's my way
lowest self-employment percentage of all groups in America.
So what I want to do ultimately is use my black dollars and create jobs for a lot of black people.
Yes, sir.
Create infrastructures for young black kids.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That's my goal. But what I don't want to do, because I don't believe this works, is say everybody, all 10,000 people come in the street, get signs, let's march. I don't believe in that. I don't believe that works. That's what I'm saying. Like
you don't have to do that.
I'm not with that.
You don't have to do that.
Let's get some money. Let's be smart.
Protest is only a tactic or a strategy. That does not have to be part of your activism.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'd rather do it in ways of...
I'm just saying, you cannot put a metal fence around the purpose you serve and say, don't force me into any other pathway in order to help our people. Whatever the freedom struggle will require of you, you will get in it. I'll give you an example. Amilcar Cabral of Guinea-Bissau, one of the greatest Pan-Africanists, one of the greatest strategists we have in the African freedom movement. Guess what his occupation was? School teacher. How did he end up being the leader of one of the greatest African revolutionary movements of all time? Necessity. He didn't say, I'm just a school teacher. I ain't getting involved in no fighting. You can't do that. You go where the energy of the people leads, if you're a true leader. Now,
so
you might say, I'm not a leader.
No.
I'm just a manager.
What I'm saying is, remember I was telling you,
I want to manage the economics. Don't call on me to lead. Then you got to say that.
But remember, oh hell yeah, I'm definitely gonna say that. Hey, look, I do this.
I hear this.
Hey, I'm gonna say, listen, dog, I do this. This is what I do. You march.
Then
I do this.
I need you to change your name then. You can't call yourself Aristotle.
And why not?
Because the Greek philosopher Aristotle, who was trained in Africa, right?
Right.
He was comrade, right? Socrates.
Mm-hmm.
And Socrates gave his life rather than abdicate his beliefs. Socrates brought the African gods into Greece and taught the truth of African spirituality and divinity. And because of that, they warned him to stop. He would not do it. He was imprisoned and forced to drink the hemlock. He could have recanted everything he believed in. Socrates said, no, I know the truth. And if it costs me my life, I'm going to stand on it. Now, I'm no admirer of the Greek philosophers because they was all plagiarists. But my point is, if you're going to carry a name like that, those men claim to have told the truth and care not for the consequences. So if you are worried about the consequences, young man,
it's not the consequences.
I need you to change your name. Expeditiously.
It's not the consequences. It's just, okay, remember the point I was telling you too earlier where some black people literally just living their lives, right? Like they don't.
But we can't afford, we dying. Could you imagine being on a war field? You on a battlefield, you in Vietnam. Somebody say, you know what, I don't want to fight. I just want to live my life. I'm going to go over this tree and smoke some weed. 9 times out of 10, what's going to happen to them? What's going to happen to them?
Now I'm going to fight.
They going to die.
But see, I do know. I'm going to fight and smoke the weed. You get what I'm saying? Like, that's me. Like, hey, man, listen to me, man. Hey, that's me, my brother.
The white man is a genius. The white man legalized weed because he knew Negroes would do nothing but sit around and smoke while he take over all of the community.
You don't smoke the gas?
Intoxication. I don't smoke. Sometimes I gotta blow tobacco smoke.
If it weren't for weed, I don't think I could grow this business. If
it wasn't for weed, black men would be out here fighting for justice and freedom.
But now white men control the weed.
Weed dissipates. And by the way, most of the weed that you get in America is not even real weed. I hope you're growing it yourself or getting it from somebody who grows it themselves. Most of the weed is coming from China. It's artificial weed and it's being sprayed with artificial cannabinoids. The smell is stronger, the high is stronger, and the side effect is worse than opioids. So y'all better be careful with that weed. It might put you into a permanent schizophrenic episode from which you never recover. You're going to see it on the street talking to yourself. Watch that weed. Watch that weed, brother.
I ain't gonna lie though, bro.
Where that weed coming from?
I know.
You catch some of that China chronic, your ass ain't coming out the mental health hospital.
My weed
playing around.
I get mine grown in Cali.
All right, as long as you know where the source.
Oh yeah,
you get that fake stuff from China.
Nah. You can't do that. You can't do that.
Why you think all these young kids get messed up?
That's what they do in Philly and all them other places.
New Jersey got a big problem with it.
Yeah,
them
they
kids
do
is
that.
smoking 2 joints, schizophrenic episode for the rest of their life. They putting rat poison in there, Chinese cannabinoids, paint thinner, all kind of crack, all kind of stuff in there, messing our young people up. And why are young people always looking to get high? Because they're trying to escape their reality.
I don't smoke weed though. I actually do edibles. I don't actually smoke the weed. I just do.
I knew a brother who did edibles. He lost his job. He had to do the mandatory weed screening, and guess what? He ate so many edibles that he came up positive, lost his job, and he wasn't even smoking. He was only taking edibles. Be careful.
I don't have a boss.
I understand that. But be careful. You don't need a boss to catch the EBGBs with the schizophrenia. You keep playing.
But yeah, like we might need to put you on the real one because you like you need a blunt.
I smoked 1 weed when I was in Jamaica hanging out with the Bobo Shanti Rastafari.
Me too, yeah.
I was 1 week in Jamaica and they brought me the Rasta Chronic and we had a cipher. I said, I'm smoking me a joint. I got to do this before I leave this earth. And the Rastas coached me. I smoked the whole joint. And guess what?
And you felt good.
Nothing happened. They was waiting for me to turn into Marcus Messiah Garvey, and nothing happened at all. And they said, maybe it ain't meant for you to smoke, because we ain't never seen nobody smoke a whole stick of Rasta Chronic in Jamaica. No.
How long ago was this?
2012, 13.
Yeah, that's when Jamaica had, actually, that was the first time I ever smoked was in Jamaica. First time I ever smoked some weed was in Jamaica.
They said I might be too intellectual to get high.
Nah. See,
I don't need to get high. All I need is 5'5" thick in the thighs.
No, that's what motivates you?
That's my chronic.
That's you. Let's get
Afro Queens.
Okay.
Butter almond, butter pecan, caramel, nutmeg, pistachio, hot peanut butter, chocolate fudge, African vanilla, African lemonade, Nappy hair, all natural, 5'5", thick in the thighs. That's the only thing I get high.
5'5", I need 5'7".
That's my only
What about
intoxicant.
5'7"? Because I'm kind of tall. I
Well,
like
5'5" is a metaphor, so they can be shorter, they can be taller. I don't want them taller than me though.
No, hell
Can't
no.
be
You
taller than me.
6'4", my brother.
I got a 6 feet cutoff. A 6 feet queen. Nah, I seen some gorgeous 6 feet queen. I can't go beyond 6 feet. My first girlfriend was 5'9". I loved her to death. She was a good height.
I believe this episode right here is going to translate a lot too, because we were talking earlier in the episode about how from a young man to the older guy, and I feel like that message right there was one of my favorite parts. Because that's really what I created this for.
Which is good. Because I wouldn't be where I am without my elders. You feel me? I have elders all over the country too. I'm blessed. I actually got elders all over the world. If I'm in Ghana, I got an elder. If I'm in Nigeria, I got an elder. If I'm in South Africa, I got an elder. If I'm in England, I got elders. If I'm in Jamaica, I got elders. If I'm in Turks and Caicos, if I'm in Bahamas, Bermuda, St. Croix, St. Thomas, St. Martin, I got elders, and I always drink from their wisdom. I'm a composite of the wisdom of those who have been around me my entire life, who were older than me, men and women.
I felt like if they see a young black man who's financially doing good,
yes,
tap into older people and still seek advice, how could that stop you from doing it?
I agree.
Here's my last question. If you had to tell young black men to avoid these mistakes, what would they be?
Sexual discipline is a very big problem for black men. It's the reason why we got so many, one of the reasons why we have so many single-parented homes, fatherless children, lack of masculine accountability, conflict between each other. We have to become more sexually disciplined. Related to that, we have to become more spiritually grounded. It doesn't have to be a religion, but it can be a religion. Black men have to learn to put God first, because to be honest with you, most black men that I know or have come across are idol worshipers, and they don't even realize it. And do you know what the idol they're worshiping is? Themselves and their bank account. Which means our young black boys are growing up to also be idol worshipers who are praising themselves and their bank account. One of the side effects of being a successful black man in a racist society that you have to guard against, you, me, these brothers, all of us, is becoming a narcissist. Sometimes when you're one of the few who made it, you tend to develop a very grandiose conceptualization of who you are, and that turns you into an idol worshiper of your own ego. The next thing is we have to become more charitable. Black men are too selfish. We're not doing enough in the community for free to improve our people. And the last thing that I would say is we have to become more courageous in defending our community against the white power structure. And the last one I gotta say is we have to show more honor and praise towards our women. We are too hard, too unforgiving, too critical of black women who have it the worst of all women in this country, without even the benefit of knowing that their men have their backs at all times. We got to do a better job showing our sisters that we care about them. We show the least amount of consistent support towards our women of any group of men in this country. And that's sad, because black women are the most victimized sexually, physically. They're the most discriminated against amongst women. All women enjoy your privilege over the black woman, just like all men enjoy your privilege over the black man in this society. And sometimes we forget that because black women tend to out-earn and out-educate us. So we think they've been accepted into the white power structure. They catch their own hell. And even though the white man will use our sisters against us, those sisters who are willing to be used, even though they will be used against us, that's no excuse for us not to still be standing up for black femininity. In order to be masculine, part of my definition of black masculinity requires you to support the femininity of our sisters.
Well, there you have it, folks. It's your boy Aristotle Investments. I got the man, Dr. Umar. He just dropped so much game. He gave me so much wisdom as a young black man. And there you have it. Make sure y'all subscribe, like, comment. We appreciate it all. Tap into the next episode.
Peace and Pan-Africanism.
Here's why you need to get this ebook right now. It is the best stock market ebook on the market. And to cater to you guys' short attention spans, everything I can't say on one page, I say in the video. So all you gotta do is click watch video, and it'll go straight to a video. What's going on, Mythbusters? Okay. Let's get this thing started. Let's get this through. You'll see that I'm talking
Swinging
about a lot.
is something we're always going to be doing, day trading especially.
Facebook users, click the link. Instagram users, you can simply comment the word book on any of my posts or under this post to get the link sent to your DM for the book. It is $24. It will literally teach you from A to Z how to get started. Let's get it.